My sister is the pure actress I helped become famous, but she fell in love with the Beijing elite's playboy who enjoys crazy horse cabaret, even considering becoming a stripper just to win his favor. I desperately stopped her later. I helped my sister win the Best Actress award, making her the only pure jasmine flower in the hearts of millions of netizens, but the yen master married a stripper. And there was no chance for her anymore. From then on, my sister hated me deeply. At the victory banquet, she deliberately showed off her bruises and tearfully accused me of forcing her to be a plaything for men. An enraged male fan cornered me in a back alley, where I was assaulted and killed. When I opened my eyes again, I had gone back to the very day my twin sister was dead set on performing a striptease at the Crazy Horse. I smiled in agreement. Of course, with a figure like yours, little sister, even I'm captivated. How could the crown prince resist? In this life, as she wished, I'll be the dazzling superstar for her, and she can go be the stripper who lives to please men. One, in the alley, as I stood there disheveled, my sister's deranged fan slashed my throat, and a torrent of scalding blood gushed forth. The searing pain instantly sapped all my strength to fight back. With my last ounce of strength, I wrestled the knife away and plunged it into the fan's chest. Then, on my knees, I begged my sister Lisa, who was standing at the mouth of the alley, to call an ambulance. She merely responded with a cold, curling smirk. Sis, maybe it's better if you die. You're all used up by men. How could you even face the world after that? Bleeding out, I curled up on the ground, but still asked with bitter resentment, why? I couldn't understand. Lisa is my beloved younger sister whom I've pampered since childhood. She is also the pure and innocent actress I helped rise to fame. How could she treat me like this? When Lisa first entered the entertainment industry, she had only a handful of fans. She was pretty, but in an entertainment industry overflowing with beauties, she didn't stand out. That changed when I captured a candid photo of her, makeup-free, smiling with crescent eyes as she read a book, holding a cup of milk tea. Netizens were captivated by her pure, bookish elegance, a refreshingly different aura from other starlets. She skyrocketed to become a minor celebrity with hundreds of thousands of followers, but at this moment, Lisa stood at the mouth of the alley, arms crossed coldly, her face contorted, bearing no resemblance to her usual pure and gentle self. How dare you even ask why? She accused me angrily. Sister, does it hurt? But on the day Zane married that stripper, I felt 1,000 times, 10,000 times more pain than you do today. What you've lost is just your life, but what I've lost is my only love, Zane, the playboy of Beijing's elite circles, who delights in toying with women, frequents crazy horse nightclubs, and loves watching women perform erotic dances. I never expected that after helping Lisa win the Best Actress award and reaping both fame and fortune, she would still be infatuated with that philandering jerk Zane too. Back then, to secure a chance for the somewhat famous Lisa to audition for the lead role in the new genius director Wilder's film, I drank myself into a stomach hemorrhage at the dinner table, finally securing her the audition opportunity. But she never liked reading since she was young. Her mind empty, unable to comprehend the script, I helped her analyze the script word by word, explored the character's psychology together, practiced with her all night, and improved her acting skills. With my help, Lisa, armed with a deep understanding of the character, defeated hundreds of famous actresses and secured the lead role. But just before the movie started filming, she threw a tantrum, insisting on giving up the movie role to become a stripper at the Crazy Horse nightclub. It was all because of her infatuation that she fell head over heels for Zane, the prince of the Beijing elite. At the Crazy Horse nightclub, rumor has it that Zane has always preferred bold and exotic beauties, and detests girls who pretend to be innocent. Lisa decided to become a stripper, shedding her innocent image, in hopes of winning Zane's favor. However, a renowned director would never risk casting a self-deprecating actress with a negative influence on young people's values as the lead in a film. At best, you'd be torn apart by netizens. At worst, the film could get banned and never see the light of day. I didn't want her to throw her future away over some sleazy, promiscuous playboy. My earnest pleas fell on deaf ears. Left with no choice, I drugged her to knock her out, begged her desperately to stay with the crew, and forced her to finish filming the movie. I've read the script. This film is bound to become the magnum opus that most actors dream of their entire lives. After the film's successful release, Lisa indeed shot to fame, becoming the pure jasmine in the hearts of millions of netizens. After achieving fame and success, the very first thing she did was confess her feelings to Zane, but Zane turned her down and married a stripper instead. Lisa and he were never going to happen, and now, that ungrateful wretch has the nerve to blame me for it all. I laughed in anger, grinding my teeth as I cursed. Lisa, you're such an idiot. Hearing this, she smirked with a mocking Disdainful tone, sister, you're now a million times more despicable and filthy than the strippers you look down upon. At least they get paid to entertain rich inn masters, while you're giving it away for free to my fans. I coughed up my last mouthful of blood, my eyes wide with the injustice of death. My eyes opened once more. Not only did I survive, but I was sent back to the very day Lisa threw a tantrum, demanding to perform a striptease at the Crazy Horse Cabaret. Remembering the tragic events of my past life, I was eager to witness firsthand how Lisa would ruin her own future. I immediately smiled and agreed. Sure, she probably never expected me, her usually strict manager, to agree so readily. Lisa rushed forward excitedly, hugging me tightly, and said joyfully, "Really, my dear sister, you really do love me the most." In my previous life, I truly doted on her as a child. Almost all of my allowance went towards buying Lisa her favorite hair clips, snacks she loved, and stationery she wanted. Whenever she was bullied by classmates at school, I was always the first to stand up for her. After graduating from university, out of concern that her innocence might be tainted by the entertainment industry, I, a top university graduate, gave up a high-paying job and became her manager, working tirelessly. I wanted to help her establish herself in the entertainment industry first, before going back to fight for my own career. Yet, for Zayn's sake, she incited her fans to have me killed. What kind of man is Zayn? He's the most notorious playboy in the entire Beijing social scene. He changes women more often than he changes his clothes. There were even tabloid rumors of him spending a night with 7 strippers, yet he possessed a face so devastatingly handsome it could captivate anyone. Combined with his wealthy background and lavish spending on female companions, he could easily charm a crowd of naive young women who dreamed of taming a playboy. Dazzling, enchanting, seductive, and utterly corrupting. I subtly pushed Lisa away, avoiding her touch. Of course it's true. Sister here is also looking forward to your debut as a striptease dancer. I can't wait to see her pure mask ripped off. Can Lisa's group of extremely fanatic male fans accept that their pure goddess, for a second-generation rich guy, becomes a nightclub stripper? But after I agreed, Lisa started to hesitate. Sister, the movie starts rehearsing tomorrow. If I'm not there, won't Director Wilder be upset? What if the fans find out? Will they dislike me? Sister, can you help me rehearse? She looked at me innocently, but a hint of calculation flickered in her eyes. Although the crew had already decided on her as the lead actress for a big-budget movie, to ensure everything went smoothly, the actresses auditioning for the lead role tomorrow include not only her but also another well-known internet celebrity as a backup. If the director is not satisfied with her, she can be replaced at any time. By breaking her promise and casually missing the audition, her diva behavior is highly likely to anger the director. We are identical twins, almost indistinguishable from each other, and those who don't know us well can't tell us apart. If I were to audition for her, passing off as her, I could avoid angering the director. It turns out she had been using me as a safety net for her life. Unfortunately, in my previous life, I never realized it. All right, I'll do the screen test for you tomorrow. I agreed immediately, stroking her back in a feigned attempt to comfort her. The audience for your striptease was all top-tier Beijing socialites. Phones weren't even allowed to record. How would your fans ever find out? Besides, if you marry Zayn, why bother with movies or being a star? Being a wealthy socialite is a much easier life. A faint blush spread across Lisa's cheeks. But how can I make Zayn fall in love with me? I pulled her in front of the mirror, yanked her clothes off in one swift motion, and whispered seductively, "Little sister, with a figure like yours, even I'm captivated. How could the yen master resist? I'll find you a nightclub mama-san later to teach you the art of seduction. How can a stunning beauty like you not catch a man if you make the first move?" Sister sends her early congratulations to you and Zayn on your lifelong union and eternal bond. Scumbag and slut, stay together forever. Just stay away and stop causing trouble for everyone. Lisa shyly covered her chest, gave a slight nod, her eyes brimming with hope for a happy future. With Zayn, I looked at my own reflection in the mirror, nearly identical to Lisa's, and a faint smile played on my lips. Since she doesn't want to be a superstar, I suppose I'll just have to step in and take her place as the dazzling star. I can make her famous, and I can certainly make myself famous too. Let her be the stripper who pleases men in nightclubs. For I'm looking down at the script, pondering how to perform even better in tomorrow's audition. I need to be perfect enough that even if the director discovers I'm not the real Lisa, he'll still fight against the investors' pressure to keep me as the lead actress. Meanwhile, the real Lisa was in her room, learning the art of seduction from a nightclub madam. Lisa shyly pushed open the door and walked straight to the double bed in the center of the room, biting her lip as she sat sideways on the bed. She extended her long, smooth legs, gently kicked off her red high heels, and then slowly unbuttoned her clothes, revealing a shy smile and a gaze that carried an unspoken invitation between adults. The madam watched Lisa's performance, shook her head, and began to coach her. Miss Lisa, you're coming across as far too experienced. Once you're in the room, you should first take the initiative to wrap your arms around young Master Chi's waist, look up and give him a kiss on the cheek, then pretend to be shy and quickly push him away, then sit on the bed by yourself and wait for him to undo your buttons. Seduction needs layers. You have to make him feel a burning desire, like he's starving for a taste but can't quite reach it. That push and pull dynamic, that come hither but not quite feeling, drives a man wild far more than any blatant come on. Lisa nodded thoughtfully. Being an actress, she slipped effortlessly into that coy, innocent yet alluring persona. The madam's lips curled into a satisfied smile as she began meticulously plotting the next step for her. Miss Lisa, tomorrow will be our annual Crazy Horse nightclub striptease performance. This show is not open to the public, only the top tycoons in the Beijing elite circle will be granted access. Tomorrow, I will have Miss Lisa perform as the opening dancer for the striptease show. With Miss Lisa's beauty, she is sure to amaze the young Master Chi. Lisa's eyes flashed with gratitude as she said, if I can successfully be with the young Master Chi, I will never forget the kindness you've shown me today. The madam chuckled ingratiatingly and said, Young Master Chi has made quite a few girlfriends at the Crazy Horse show, but in my opinion, when it comes to looks, none of them hold a candle to Miss Lisa. Confident in her position, Lisa lowered her head bashfully. At that very moment, a flash of inspiration struck me from the madam's words, and I suddenly knew exactly how to perform the climactic scene in tomorrow's film. 5. The audition space. A room of roughly 100 square meters was divided into two distinct areas by a large pane of glass. One area was designated for the actors' auditions, another area was set up with several cameras, and Wilder sat behind them. His long legs were casually crossed, his angular features hidden in the shadows, lazily biting on a cigarette, his eyebrows and eyes exceptionally handsome beneath the swirling smoke. Start. As soon as the words left his mouth, the lights in the audition room dimmed, and the popular actress Vivian, standing in front of me, took the stage first. This scene is the pivotal moment of the film North Star. In the scene, the male lead, a parentless street punk, is stabbed to death by loan sharks after offending them while protecting the female lead, a young heiress whose family has gone bankrupt and is fleeing debt. After his death, his face is brutally skinned, making his body unidentifiable. The police contact the female lead, who had stormed off after an argument with him and thus narrowly escaped the tragedy, using the only phone number found in the male lead's phone, asking her to identify his body. While identifying the body, the female lead discovered a comical Mickey Mouse tattoo on its back, the very one the male lead had gotten on a whim, just to make her laugh. In that moment, her composure shattered, and she was overcome with anguish. Wilder's captivating peach blossom eyes remained fixed on the camera monitor as he drawled, Miss Vivian, the stage is yours. The curtain slowly rises. The supporting actor playing a police officer points at the disfigured corpse and asks, Miss, do you recognize him? Vivian stares blankly at the Mickey Mouse pattern on the corpse's back. She first began to sob softly, her pale lips trembling uncontrollably, her throat emitting a muffled, indistinct wail, like a cuckoo's mournful cry. Then, her legs gave way, and she collapsed onto the body, her hands clenched into fists, pounding the corpse a few times in an uncontrollable emotional outburst, crying out, You promised to be with me for a lifetime. Why did you lie to me? The tears welling up in her eyes rolled down her pale cheeks, falling onto the Mickey Mouse tattoo on the body, and a heartbreaking beauty appeared on her face. Many of the staff on set were moved. Only Joe Wilder, behind the camera, furrowed his brows and pressed his thin lips tightly. His gaze lingered on Vivian's face for a moment before coldly shifting away, and he said sharply, There's an excess of exaggeration and pretense, but a lack of depth. This kind of explosive performance is only suitable for TV dramas, not films. With a wave of his hand, the room fell silent, and the lights in the audition room dimmed once again. A single beam of light shone on me. The supporting actor playing a police officer pointed at the disfigured corpse and asked, Miss, do you recognize him? I ran my fingers over the Mickey Mouse pattern on the corpse's back, paused for a few seconds, and then smiled. Oh my God, influencers really can't act. It's such a tragic, bad-ending script, and she still managed to break character and laugh. Compared to Lisa, Vivian's performance is Oscar-worthy. Exactly. At least Vivian's tears seemed genuine. I ignored it, just smiling blankly. The supporting actor playing a police officer asked me curiously, Miss, what's wrong? Only then did large teardrops begin to slide from my right eye, with those from my left welling up for a few seconds before spilling over. My lips trembled uncontrollably. Yet even with all my might, I couldn't make a sound, only being Sigh's tears fell one after another, rolling onto the corpse. Wilder's voice lowered slightly as he calmly called out cut, then asked me plainly, "Emma's, Lisa, why are you laughing?" His scrutinizing gaze fell on my face with a strong and direct force. The warm yellow light bathed the sharp, cold edges of his handsome eyes, but failed to soften them at all. The staff on set held their breath nervously, fearing that Wilder might suddenly erupt in anger over my unconventional performance. Meeting his inscrutable gaze through the crowd, I spoke with neither arrogance nor humility. I believe human emotional instincts are progressive and possess a sense of layering. The heroine's first reaction upon seeing the Mickey Mouse tattoo should be that the one the hero got for her is comically absurd. It would remind her of the happiness from when he used to clown around just to make her laugh, so she would smile. It wasn't until after the police officer spoke that the heroine was finally jolted out of her memories. Only then did it hit her that the hero was truly gone, that he would never make her laugh again. It was at that moment that grief, like a flood, engulfed her numb and hollow heart. Before I could finish speaking, Franklin suddenly burst into the studio. He's Wilder's childhood friend and the biggest investor in this film. He held up his phone and shouted, oh no, something's happened to Lisa." 6. Wilder frowns. "What's going on?" Franklin gasps for breath as he explains. Lisa was caught stripping live at the Crazy Horse nightclub, and now the whole internet is demanding she be kicked out of showbiz. Impossible. Brother Young, Wilder's assistant standing beside him, immediately refuted the claim. Lisa was clearly doing a screen test at the studio. How could she possibly have gone to the Crazy Horse to strip? Everyone on set can vouch for her, Brother Young said, pointing at me. "See for yourself. Who else could the person standing right in front of you be but Lisa, that stripper? It couldn't have been a deepfake, could it? In my past life, because of the pandemic, I almost never took my mask off on set. As a result, at first, no one on the crew noticed that Lisa and I were twins." Wilder's dark eyes fixed intently on the tiny tear mole at the corner of my eye. This faint, easily overlooked mole was the only physical difference between Lisa and me. Someone as sharp as him must have already realized I wasn't Lisa. Franklin looked at me, puzzled, and murmured to himself, what are you doing here? Aren't you supposed to be at the Crazy Horse show?" The Crazy Horse's official account even posted proof you were performing there, and Zayn publicly confessed his feelings for you on social media. It's trending at #1. I wasn't in a hurry to explain. Calmly, I took out my phone and started scrolling through the trending topics. Videos of Lisa performing a striptease are being sold everywhere for 5 cents on the trending searches. After searching for a long time, I finally found a free video. In the video, Lisa wore a golden sequin lace-up long dress that clung to her body, accentuating her nearly perfect figure, adding an air of mystery in the subtle interplay. Lisa gently caressed the hem of her skirt, her eyes hazy and alluring. Her fingers traced the edge of the dress, slowly undoing the clasp at the back, and the dress slid down as her body twisted wildly. The audience's eyes burned with a hot, greedy gaze, like famished wolves waiting for their prey. The court of public opinion on the trending list is overwhelming. Lisa isn't short on money, is she? Why on earth would she degrade herself by performing in a strip show? Many of her fans are quite young. Has she considered the negative impact this could have on them? I always said Lisa was putting on an innocent act. Just look at how provocatively she dances in that strip show. She really knows how to reel men in. No wonder her career opportunities are so good. I heard she's even landing a role in director Wilder's new film. Turns out she slept her way to the top. Why hasn't this disgraceful celebrity who corrupts children been banned yet? We demand Lisa be banned and all her works removed. As the public outcry grew more intense by the minute, Franklin was as frantic as an ant on a hot skillet. "Miss Lisa, if it wasn't you dancing in that video, why aren't you rushing to clear your name? I remember you were a pure and innocent actress, right? Once." Netizens believe the rumors. It's hard for you to recover. Such slander is fatal to you. By then, not only will you be affected by public opinion, but the entire movie will be as well. Let me be blunt, I won't invest in a movie that's doomed to fail. I curled my lips. Don't rush. It's not time to clarify yet. Today's audition was fully recorded. As soon as my audition video is played, everyone will be able to tell the difference between me and Lisa, who is dancing topless on stage. Now, the task at hand is to wait for Lisa's scandal to escalate. The bigger the scandal's heat, the better. The angrier the netizens, the better. Wait until the public opinion reaches its peak, then release the audition video to set the record straight. At that moment, the stark contrast between a hardworking older sister and a self-destructive younger sister is sure to win me a lot of fans. My dear sweet sister is using her own career to generate hype for my first leading role in a major film. How could I not take full advantage of that, just as I was calmly Enjoying the spectacle on the trending list, Lisa called me 7, sis, what should we do? Lisa's voice on the other end of the line was muffled and wet, as if she was crying. I recorded while teasing her with a smile. Darling, the Crown Prince G has publicly declared his love for you. What more could you possibly want? Wasn't the whole point of you performing at the Crazy Horse Show just to catch Crown Prince G's attention? Now that you've gotten exactly what you wanted, what are you crying for? Seeing that I wasn't offering to help her like I usually did, Lisa began to sob pitifully. But what about my movie, the one directed by Wilder? It's sure to be a blockbuster, and my phone has been blowing up with calls from advertisers. They're demanding I pay hundreds of millions in liquidated damages. Sister, I haven't even married Zayn yet. How could I possibly have that kind of money to give them? I don't want to end up as a deadbeat. Sister, can you help me? I pretended to be clueless. Good sister, how can I help you? As long as it's within my power, I'll do my best. Hearing this, Lisa immediately stopped crying and said shrewdly, Sister, we look exactly the same. If you're willing to cooperate with me and issue a clarification statement saying that it was you, not me, who performed at the Crazy Horse Show, then all the problems would be solved, wouldn't they? I immediately smiled in agreement. That would be absolutely perfect. Lisa had no doubts at all. Her voice trembled with excitement. Sister, you're the best sister ever. I'm issuing a clarification statement right now. After hanging up the phone, Lisa eagerly posted a clarification statement on social media. Today, I was auditioning for the movie North Star and had no time to go to the Crazy Horse nightclub. The one performing the striptease at the Crazy Horse nightclub is my twin sister Summer. It's not me. If I weren't a celebrity, maybe my sister wouldn't have been so psychologically unbalanced, constantly imitating me, even pretending to be me. Please stop scolding my sister, she's just too desperate for fame. If only she didn't have me as a sister, it's all my fault. With just a few words, Lisa easily portrayed me as a spiteful sister who envies her sibling and deliberately slanders her. Soon, Lisa's diehard fans swarmed to my social media accounts to cyberbully me. How can you be so vicious? Lisa is kind-hearted and beautiful, and even after all you've done to her, she still speaks up for you. How do you even have the nerve to go on living? Don't think climbing into you and Master Chi's good graces will stop us from calling you out. Lisa earned everything she has through her own hard work, while you're just a gold digger. Disgusting. You're such a pathetic pick-me girl, competing for male attention. You're truly despicable. You'd even harm your own sister. As Lisa's die-hard fans kept joining in, the buzz finally escalated. I decisively posted my audition video and the recording of Lisa asking me to whitewash her on social media, with the caption, Don't tag me, I'm shooting a movie today. The one performing the striptease at the Crazy Horse Show is actually my sister Lisa. If you don't believe me, take a look. I have a teardrop mole at the corner of my eye, which Lisa doesn't have. Can't you recognize your idol's appearance? But you can't recognize your idol's voice. 8. Meanwhile, in a surprising turn of events, Wilder, who never uses public social media, actually went and created an account. Miss Summer was indeed filming on the set of North Star today. The entire crew can vouch for her. The photo shows him and all the crew members giving a thumbs up to the monitor where I am acting. It seems that Wilder is very pleased with my performance today and is going to keep me as the leading actress. The trending searches have exploded, and public opinion is in an uproar. Lisa's die-hard fans are still desperately trying to whitewash her. Wait, who can prove that the user of this account is Director Wilder? Are you blind? Didn't you see the photo of Director Wilder with the crew? By the way, Director Wilder is so handsome. Swoon. With how advanced photo editing software is nowadays, it wouldn't be hard to fake a group photo, would it? Exactly. Scammers can now create dynamic face videos for fraud. So who would believe he's really Director Wilder just based on a single photo? Lisa, a famous actress, doesn't need to degrade herself by performing a striptease. Only her sister would do something so shameful for money. While Lisa's die-hard fans were causing a huge uproar, Lisa spoke out again. She posted a calligraphy of the character fake, accompanied by the caption, deceptively real, clearly implying that Wilder's account is problematic, not stating it outright, but being vague to deceive fans into continuing to fight for her. Lisa's fans, as if grasping a lifeline, suddenly gained confidence. There are so many scammers pretending to be Director Wilder. Don't you remember that one actress who even got swindled out of money? This is definitely just Summer's attempt at damage control. Summer is only so brazen about using Director Wilder to clear her name and slander Lisa because she knows he's never on social media. It's absolutely disgusting. Don't be afraid, Lisa. You need to tell Director Wilder right away that Summer is shamelessly riding his coattails to whitewash her own image. We've got your Back, faced with the mindless, vicious attacks from Lisa's delusional fans, I could only respond with a cold sneer. Just as I was gearing up to go to war with these delusional fans, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Lisa, who was furious and lashing out at me. "No wonder you didn't stop me from taking that stripping gig, Summer. You had this planned all along, to steal the lead role right out from under me. Don't get too cocky. All it takes is one word from Zayn, and the funding for your little movie will be pulled in an instant. You think you can take me on, even if my reputation is in the gutter. I can still marry Zayn, and you'll just get blacklisted by him for crossing me. Don't let short-term gains cloud your judgment. If you know what's good for you, you'll get out here and take the fall for me." Looks like she's done pretending and is ready to burn all bridges with me. Perfect, just what I wanted. 9. I turned on a live stream to expose her text messages, and also included Wilder and Franklin in the frame. To prove my innocence, Lisa's die-hard fans finally broke down for the last time. After their silence, random netizens' comments finally took the upper hand. Seriously, what is Lisa thinking? Wasn't being a huge star good enough? How dare she betray her fans to become a stripper? That's just so low. So not only did Lisa ditch director Wilder's movie to become a stripper, but she also threatened her sister into covering for her. Did you guys see the audition tape? Her sister's acting is miles better. No wonder even the notoriously aloof director Wilder came forward to clear her sister's name. How can she be both this stupid and this malicious? It's a special kind of venom, untouched by any semblance of intelligence. Being a Lisa fan is the most embarrassing thing I've ever done. If you're going to criticize anyone, criticize Lisa. Leave the fans out of it. Watching Lisa get torn apart online, Zayn was furious. "Are you all fucking idiots? Some people are just so damn prurient, they see filth in everything. Striptease is an art form. Do you even understand what art is? While others bound their feet, you've bound your minds." Lisa is making a sacrifice for her art. She has the freedom to shed her clothes for artistic expression. What right do you have to interfere with her freedom? Do you even deserve to make movies with such futile thinking? Half of the movie theaters in the country belong to my family. Your crappy movie? Don't even think about showing it in our theaters. But Zayn's words not only didn't help Lisa, they instead sparked anger among netizens towards capitalists. The Beijing elite's son thinks he's so great. We netizens are the successors of socialism. Customers are gods. Do you understand what movies gods want to watch? Can you control that? Exactly. Art is art, but striptease is vulgar. Lisa always acts so pure in front of the camera. Who would have thought? Just to seduce Zayn, she'd throw away all her dignity. She's afraid the poor will see, yet also afraid the rich won't. She's really so stupid. Does she really think Zayn is serious about her? Probably just like Zayn's ex-girlfriends. Once he gets bored, he'll dump her immediately, then she'll have no money, no career. I wonder if she'll still be able to threaten netizens so arrogantly. In the face of netizens' sarcastic remarks, Lisa went crazy and posted intimate photos of herself with Zayn. In the photo, Lisa and Zayn are lying on a large bed kissing, in an intimate pose. Completely naked, clearly having just done something. Don't think I don't know you're jealous of me. After all, not everyone gets the chance to marry into a wealthy family. You ugly women, even if you wanted to strip, no one would watch. What right do you have to interfere with my freedom of dress? I love my body, and I'm proud of it. I was immediately shocked by her way of thinking. What? Is she crazy? Can normal people really say such things? The thought process of a love-struck wife is indeed different from that of ordinary people. I immediately posted a response to counter her. True freedom of dressing is about not feeling inferior, bravely wearing beautiful clothes, and showcasing your most beautiful self, not about taking off your clothes to please men. Girls have 100 ways to love their bodies, but standing on a striptease stage and becoming a man's plaything is never one of them. Netizens overwhelmingly agreed with me. Exactly. Freedom isn't about doing whatever you want, it's about having the right to refuse what you don't want to do. Sisters, remember this, a freedom that lowers your standing is no freedom at all. What we must fight for is always the freedom to rise. This kind of human body feast, which oppresses and objectifies women, should have been left behind by our era long ago, not whitewashed as art. From that day on, Lisa was blacklisted due to public outrage and completely withdrew from the entertainment industry. Netizens also began to boycott the Chi family's businesses spontaneously due to Zayn's outrageous behavior. As for me, I threw myself into the crew of Northern Star, focusing on filming my first big-budget female-led movie. 3 months later, the film wrapped up. 10. On the first day of the Lunar New Year, its opening day, North Star raked in a staggering 298 million yuan at the box office, with word-of-mouth praise spreading like wildfire. By the time it left theaters, it had become the second highest-grossing film in the Nation cinematic history. Thanks to this film, I firmly established myself within the film industry, and Franklin, who raked in a fortune, Wilder became the highest-grossing director in film history. The night I won the Golden Rooster Award for Best Actress, Lisa stormed into the ceremony. Completely distraught, she knelt on the ground, clung to my feet, and began to pour out her grievances. "Sis, please, I'm begging you. Take me to get an abortion. I know I messed up. I don't want to be with Zane anymore." I quickly refused her. "That baby is yours and Zane's. If you want an abortion, you should discuss it with Zane, not with me. This is your personal business. I can't handle it, and I don't want to get involved. In my past life, it was my meddling that got me killed by her. Given a second chance, I won't get involved in her affairs again, no matter what." Lisa rolled up her sleeve, revealing the black and blue bruises on her arm, and began to play the victim in front of everyone. "Zane flirts with other women every day. When I confront him, he hits me. A leopard can't change its spots. He won't even give me money, calling me a gold digger who's only with him for his family's wealth, scheming my way into his life. Sister, I know you wouldn't abandon me. You've always been the one who cares for me the most since I was little." She was crying her heart out, snot and tears streaming down her face. Looking utterly pitiful, I remained unmoved and called security to have her thrown out, yet she stubbornly refused to leave, lying on the ground in a hysterical fit of crying and screaming. "No, I'm not leaving. That Best Actress award was rightfully mine. Summer, you scheming bitch, you stole my life. I hope you rot in hell. You did this on purpose. You deliberately let me get involved with that sleazy womanizer Zane, and you deliberately let me go to the Crazy Horse show. You've ruined my life. How can you be so vicious? What the fuck, Lisa? Who are you calling a sleazy womanizer?" Zane's furious voice rang out from the doorway. "Back then, you were so desperate to get into my bed you were willing to be a stripper. Now that you can't get your hands on my money anymore, you're trying to use public opinion to trap me. Is that it? I'm telling you, this trick won't work on me. Don't you realize no one else would even look at you, you old pair of worn-out shoes? You want to abort my child. If you dare to abort my child, I'll kill you." With that, Zane charged forward and delivered 2 brutal blows to Lisa's head. Lisa passed out on the spot. No one dared to intervene. Everyone knew Zane's temper all too well, terrified that upsetting him would make them the next target. Still seething, he delivered 2 brutal kicks to Lisa's stomach. "Damn whore, a stripper. Who the hell knows if the kid's even mine? Trash, die for me," Wilder whispered to me. "Luckily, you had the foresight to have me notify Zane, otherwise we really wouldn't have been able to deal with these lunatics." I whispered to him. "I stole the opportunity from my own sister and watched her suffer without lifting a finger. Don't you think that makes me utterly heartless?" He shook his head, his dark eyes fixed intently on me as he said with complete seriousness, "On the contrary, I think you're clever. I need a smart partner. If your sister got the film I've been working on for nearly 5 years shut down, I'd probably lose my mind." Before long, the police and ambulance arrived. Zane was arrested and taken to the police station for assault. He remained extremely arrogant during the police interrogation. "What law have I broken by hitting my own girlfriend? That bitch had the nerve to curse at me and even wanted to kill my child. Wasn't I right to hit her? A woman that low. Killing her wouldn't even be going too far." The lawyer the Chi family hired initially wanted to advise him to keep quiet, but seeing his fearless and utterly reckless attitude, he just gave up and silently watched him lose his mind in front of the police. Lisa was kicked so hard by him that she hemorrhaged severely, fell unconscious, and was hospitalized. The fetus was also delivered prematurely. Zane had thought that the Chi family's top lawyer would still be as invincible as ever, ensuring his release from prison. However, this time his assault was broadcast nationwide, causing a severe impact, making it a key case in High City. The higher-ups' directive was to handle it severely, strictly, and swiftly. After Zane was imprisoned, the Chi family's illegitimate son returned to the Chi family with lightning speed, taking over the family's business and seizing Zane's inheritance rights. After being released from prison, Zane inexplicably blamed Lisa for everything. He spent his days drinking and visiting brothels, and at the slightest frustration, he would take it out on Lisa with beatings and abuse. Lisa's life was spiraling downward rapidly, with no end in sight. Meanwhile, I had collaborated with Wilder on multiple projects, winning Best Actress award after award, with my acting recognized by countless viewers. Yet, in the dead of night, I would always be jolted awake by nightmares from my past life. That raw, bone-deep pain is a constant reminder. Never pity Lisa, never forgive Lisa, never give her a second chance to hurt me. Respect others' fates and steer clear of their suffering, otherwise, that very suffering may well find its way to you, and you'll be the one to bear it for her. End. Story 2, My Best Friend is an artist who had herself anesthetized for 6 hours, leaving her completely at the mercy of others during that time. I immediately tried to stop her, saying, "Human nature is the last thing you should ever test." After I persuaded her, she reluctantly cancelled the exhibition. To our surprise, her senior colleague staged the same human nature experiment and became an overnight sensation. My best friend resented my interference, blaming me for blocking her path to overnight fame. She pushed me into oncoming traffic, leaving me to be crushed to death. When I opened my eyes again, everything became clear. As my friend excitedly shared her ideas with me, I changed my tune. Just do what you believe is right. Little did she know, our senior's sudden popularity was all manufactured hype. "Vivian, are we really going to let Sarah test human nature?" My assistant's worried voice came from beside me. In my previous life, when Sarah told me she wanted to stage a performance art piece, I didn't object. In fact, I thought it was great. Having creative ideas is a good thing, but then she revealed the theme was testing human nature. She planned to anesthetize herself for 6 hours and leave herself completely at others' mercy. I spent a long time persuading her, almost forcing her to abandon that idea, partly for the sake of her health, and partly because I didn't want to see this artist fall victim to the darkness of human nature. Later, I went through great pains to arrange for her to meet with industry heavyweights, hoping Sarah would seize the opportunity to network. With their help, Sarah achieved modest success while still in her 20s. But before long, her senior colleague from the same cohort hosted this human nature experiment and became an overnight sensation. Sarah resented me deeply, blaming me for blocking her path to viral fame. Later, when I secured her more opportunities, she finally started talking to me, though reluctantly, that early morning, after picking her up from the bar. As we walked across the overpass, she actually tried to push me off. She gripped my throat, her eyes clear and sharp as she laughed. "How dare you try to fool me with those worthless resources? You ruined my opportunity. You don't deserve to live. Next time, don't be a dog in my way." Thinking of this, I shook my head, carefully straightened the documents on the desk, and said, "What's wrong with her being happy?" The assistant fell silent. Sarah, who had reached the doorway, turned and hurried back with an astonished expression. "Vivian, you're really letting me do this performance art? I'll be anesthetized for 6 hours, completely at everyone's mercy. Just do what you think is right. I have no objections." I shrugged and gave a faint smile. "I have no interest in being anyone's lapdog ever again." Sarah crossed her arms and looked down her nose at me, circling slowly. "Did you have a change of heart? Even if you agree to my performance art piece, I'm still not going to that ridiculous banquet with you. Throwing your weight around won't change my mind. I'm not going. I need to focus on preparing this performance art installation. Let whoever wants to meet those people deal with them. I'm destined to become a top-tier artist in this scene. What's the point of us wasting our days social climbing in the glitzy circles?" I cut her off. "If you don't want to go, then don't. Do whatever you feel like." Sarah looked skeptical. "You're not just agreeing now to put me off, are you?" As if she'd figured out the reason for my odd behavior. Her face instantly filled with hatred, as if looking at some sworn enemy. "Vivian, are you trying to fool me again? All these years, I've followed your path, but I'm still stuck in mediocrity. Every idea I suggest, you shoot down. Either it's unattainable or impossible. You control my body, my mind, and now even a simple performance art piece requires your meticulous interference. An artist needs freedom, not a cage. You're suffocating me. I'm a human being. I have my own thoughts. I'm not some decorative piece on display." I tidied up the last of the documents in my hands and brushed off the dust clinging to them. "Calm down, Sarah. It's just an exhibition. You'll have full ownership, and I won't interfere. If you want to do something, find people to handle it yourself. You don't need my approval. It's your call." Sarah stared at me in utter shock, as if she'd seen a ghost. "I'm not some dictator. I only thought I was doing what was best for you back then. I never realized you held such a deep grudge against me. From now on, every decision you make is on you. You'll bear the consequences alone. A life where I don't have to clean up other people's messes. That's the dream I've always longed for." Sarah saved my life. In my past life, I gave her my all, constantly worried she'd self-destruct. I managed everything for her, and people at the studio jokingly called me the mother hen. Back then, I was in a car accident. The vehicle was hanging halfway off a cliff, with me teetering on the edge of death. Sarah pulled me from a car that was about to crash and explode. This girl, barely 16, dragged me for over 2 hours. I owe my life to Sarah. We later became best friends. When I learned about her dreams, I used all the resources my family had to set up a studio for her, dedicating myself entirely to managing it and helping her achieve her goals. Back then, aside from regular schoolwork, I flew with her to Jing City every week for her art studies. We kept this up For 3 years, and the paper plane tickets filled a whole metal box, I've guided her from complete obscurity to the modest recognition she has today. Every step of this journey was paved with my dedication and hard work. Having faced death once, I understand how fleeting life is. As long as you maintain good health, success will eventually follow. After all, without a solid foundation, fame is as transient as what a pity. Are you threatening me? Threatening the very person who saved your life? Sarah narrowed her eyes and leaned in closer, locking her gaze with mine. Vivian, you're not so special after all. Sarah walked away, her high heels clicking sharply against the floor. Too, Sarah thought I was ungrateful, but I've already repaid that life debt. The studio was completely empty on Friday morning. I had to call my assistant to find out that Sarah had taken everyone to the warehouse to work on the set. As soon as I walked in, I saw Sarah deep in discussion with her senior colleague Bianca. She was so excited, gesturing animatedly as she explained her ideas. Bianca chimed in from time to time, the two of them forming their own little bubble where no one else could get a word in edgewise. I think your ideas are brilliant. So many of your previous concepts could have been realized. Why didn't you pursue them? It's all because of Vivian. She controls my body, shackles my mind. And after I saved her life, you wouldn't believe how she's snubbed me before. Some gratitude, acting like my solo exhibition is costing her an arm and a leg. She's always holding me back. You're the only one who gets me. Senior, you actually understand where I'm coming from. I'm so jealous of you, living freely and happily without a care in the world. Bianca pulled out all sorts of little trinkets and souvenirs, stuffing them into Sarah's hands. Sarah was deeply moved, as if she had found a kindred spirit across the miles. Over the years, I've given Sarah countless gifts and even sacrificed everything for her, yet I've never once seen her look at me with that kind of appreciation, not even a simple thank you. Sarah says thank you to strangers, to the cleaning lady, to the delivery guy, but with me, it's nothing but resentment, as if everything I do is just expected. I smiled and gently interrupted their heartfelt exchange. I took out the resignation letter I had drafted yesterday and handed it to her. Sarah, don't forget to read this. Bianca greeted her with a smile. Long time no see. Vivian, you're still as poised and impressive as ever. Which little admirer sent you a love letter this time? Sarah puffed up with pride, a smug look in her eyes. Oh, it's nothing special, just a coincidence. Feel free to read it if you want. She casually handed the letter to Bianca. Bianca didn't hesitate, but when she flipped it over and saw the writing on the envelope, her expression faltered. Maybe I shouldn't read this after all. Honestly, what could I possibly have that you're not allowed to see? Resignation. Vivian, you're resigning. How dare you resign? Sarah snatched the envelope from Bianca, tore it open in seconds, and completely lost it when she saw my signature. Bianca stepped forward and took my hand, her brow slightly furrowed. Vivian, Sarah has always treated you all quite well. Why resign so impulsively? Don't let emotions cloud your judgment. She's just straightforward by nature, no ill intent. Young people should be able to communicate openly. If there are issues, address them promptly. If she's done something wrong, I'll talk to her on your behalf. What exactly is bothering you? Bianca then turned to Sarah and said, Sarah, come talk some sense into Vivian. The job market is tough right now, and Vivian isn't getting any younger. It'll be hard for her to find another suitable position. You're not actually considering agreeing, are you? Sarah sneered arrogantly. Vivian, who do you think you are? An ungrateful wretch. I knew you were up to no good, trying to threaten me with resignation. Fine, I'll grant your wish, but remember this, you're fired. Pack your things and get out today. Payroll, make sure she gets her final wages settled by the end of the day. This is no place for you. Stay out of my sight. The warehouse, which had been bustling with noise just moments before, fell into complete silence. Sarah gave Bianca a reassuring pat on the shoulder. Hey, since you're free now, come by my studio. I've got an open spot just waiting for you. Sarah completely ignored my presence, speaking only to Bianca. I wasn't surprised at all. After all this time with Sarah, I know exactly how she is. She'd let anyone else lose face before she ever would. There was another major reason why Sarah resented me so deeply in our past life. The night before Bianca became an overnight sensation, a warehouse fire destroyed all the pieces Sarah had prepared for her Paris exhibition, combined with the controversial human experiment concept Sarah had previously proposed. This incident catapulted Bianca to fame and worried Sarah couldn't handle the shock. I kept it from her until the media frenzy around Bianca had died down. Sarah was devastated. She couldn't accept having missed her big break because of me, even convinced I'd caused the fire and blocked her path to success. From that moment on, Sarah became neurotic and treated me like a mortal enemy. She resented herself for saving me all those years ago. She hated even more how I constantly undermined her. She despised my controlling nature and rejection of her ideas and designs. I went through hell and high water to placate her, pulling strings left and right to secure resources for Sarah, but it still wasn't enough to fill the void in her heart. One drunken night, she shoved me off the overpass, leaving me to be pulverized by the relentless stream of traffic below. As I plummeted, I saw her lips form the words, "You had this coming." And she was right. I did owe her. All debts are cleared now. Standing motionless as I surveyed the warehouse, a wave of emotions washed over me. I cut into their conversation. "I think you've misunderstood something. It's you who should be leaving." Sarah raised an eyebrow disdainfully. "What's gotten into you now? I've spared you the embarrassment in front of everyone. Don't make me call security to throw you out." I looked at Sarah with a smile. "Everything in this warehouse, including the land, is my private property. It has nothing to do with you or the studio. The contract expires today. You have until today to move out, or face the consequences. And let's talk about the studio. When you first started out with nothing to your name, I was the one who funded the entire setup and hired all the staff. Besides that, I also handle the finances." Sarah seemed completely blindsided by these questions, her face darkening with visible displeasure. Just after firing someone, to be immediately kicked out of the studio by that same person, it was utterly humiliating. Sarah was practically born with a paintbrush in her hand. Anyone who laid eyes on her work couldn't help but sing its praises. In my past life, I never told Sarah about the warehouse fire, let alone what Bianca had done. The day Sarah got drunk, I went to confront Bianca. By chance, I overheard on the rooftop that Bianca was the one who torched the warehouse and stole Sarah's creative concepts. She even felt regret that Sarah hadn't stuck to her own ideas, or she could have publicly ruined her. I let out a sigh. Before I could figure out how to tell Sarah, I got the news that she was drunk and saw her in such a wretched state. I dread to think whether she can hold up after learning how her own senior sister has treated her. Just as I was caught in a dilemma, Sarah killed me, with her hands around my neck. I struggled to breathe and died without revealing the truth. 3. I never liked Bianca. Not from the very beginning, call it intuition, but I could tell she wasn't as harmless as she seemed, more like a venomous snake lying in wait. Ironically, she kept pushing to bring Bianca into the studio, but I shut it down every time. But Sarah adored and trusted the seniors so deeply that even when I told her Bianca was forging paintings, she accused me of jealousy and trying to sabotage their relationship with lies, treating me with nothing but sarcasm. Turns out my intuition was spot on. Bianca, having run out of talent, couldn't stand her junior surpassing her and had been secretly undermining Sarah all along. Yet in Sarah's eyes, this venomous woman remained the image of an innocent, naive soul who knew nothing of the world's darkness. What expression would she wear if she discovered the senior she entrusted with her heart was the very person stealing her ideas, burning her work, and plotting her complete destruction? Just thinking about it gets me absolutely thrilled. Sunday marks the start of Sarah's performance art piece. I gave her a full day to move out. More than fair, if you ask me. I went back to the studio to collect my things when a knock came at the door, just as I was tidying up some trinkets on the desk. "Come in, it's Bianca." I furrowed my brow slightly. "What brings you here? If I'm the reason you and Sarah are arguing, I can apologize, or I can leave. I'm truly sorry." Sarah was just speaking out of anger. "Don't take it to heart." Bianca's eyes were slightly reddened, her voice choked with emotion. "Me? Who do you think you are? Don't flatter yourself. Get lost if you've got nothing better to do." Bianca left with a pale face. Within minutes, Sarah strode in frowning. "Are you that desperate to leave? You know full well I only said those things in the heat of the moment." I shot back. "Your words are as worthless as hot air, completely unreliable." Sarah's face flushed crimson, with her eyes squeezed shut as if steeling herself. She blurted out, "Fine, I was being petty. I'm sorry. Okay, I take back what I said about firing you. Withdraw your resignation, and let's just go back to how things were." The room fell silent. When I didn't respond, Sarah opened her eyes and saw me still packing my things. Her expression darkened. "Do you have to be so heartless? Just because I said something in anger, you're throwing away all these years we've had together. What do you even take me for? I've already apologized. Can't we just go back to how we were? What more do you want from me?" "I don't want anything. It's over between us, that's all there is to it." The moment those words were out, Sarah completely lost it. "I gave you a chance, even handed you an olive branch, but you, Vivian, how ungrateful can you be? I always knew you had ulterior motives. You claimed you were helping me, but look at things now. The studio is yours, the warehouse and everything in it is yours, and me, I've been working for you all these years for nothing. You really are heartless. I should have let you die in that car crash back Then, with that, Sarah slammed the door and stormed off. In the end, she just wasn't skilled enough. Still, I have to admit, I didn't expect her to get this far. After packing my things, I left the city the next day. I have to attend that banquet I mentioned to Sarah earlier. In my previous life, I dragged a reluctant Sarah to the banquet where I met the influential figure I'd missed. With just one glance at Sarah, she discerned her poor character, predicting she would never achieve great things and would bring misfortune to those around her. Hearing this, my smile vanished. Sarah and I have been together for so long that our lives are completely intertwined. What's more, she once saved my life. In situations like this, we rise and fall together, but I couldn't do anything. Offending the powerful would make it impossible for me to survive in this circle, and Sarah's path would become even more treacherous. I had no choice but to walk away with a stony expression. Let's just assume people are jealous of Sarah. Little did I know that subsequent events would mirror exactly what this person had said. Unfortunately, this time I scanned every face at the banquet but never saw her again. It felt like our previous encounter was just a dream, and she was merely part of that dream. My phone kept buzzing non-stop when I landed at the airport late at night after leaving the banquet. It turned out to be a call from the police. I rushed to the police station with my luggage in tow. The first thing I heard when I walked in was, "It must have been Vivian. She burned all the props I needed for the exhibition. And every single piece of my work. She's definitely holding a grudge because I fired her and broke free from her control, that ungrateful snake, for I almost died in there. Officers, you have to arrest her." As soon as I walked in, Sarah lunged at me like a wild animal. "I should have let you die somewhere. What did I ever do to deserve you trying to ruin my life? What else could I do?" Of course, I had to get the police involved. "Officer, help!" I quickly ducked behind the police officer. "I swear on my life, she's making these baseless accusations. I just got off a plane. This is slander." The staff member held onto Sarah's body for dear life, but it was no use as she flailed wildly in the air. Who would have thought Sarah had such a lively side to her? Noticing my blatant amusement at the chaos, the staff member shot me a complicated look. The idea that I went home quickly doesn't hold water. I was on a business trip Saturday and didn't land at the airport until early Sunday morning. Where would I find the time? How naive. I have no idea how Sarah's early morning went, but in the afternoon, her reset performance art event proceeded as scheduled. Though the props looked considerably more worn, everyone was captivated by this peculiar performance art. Miss Sarah has been anesthetized. For the next 6 hours, the audience can do anything to her without facing any legal consequences. There are 91 different props on the table. The audience is free to use any of these items to do whatever they wish to her. Sarah sat quietly on the stool, not even blinking her eyes. At first, only a handful of people came in. Everyone was just curious, treating it as nothing more than a novelty. Very few people actually approached her. Gradually, girls started coming up to take photos with Sarah, who remained completely still. A child reached out to touch her face, then turned to her mother in amazement. "Mom, she's warm." "Are wax figures supposed to be warm?" drawn by the child's voice. More and more people began gathering around Sarah. Some even scribbled on her face with lipstick, clapping and cheering as they captured the moment in photos. Someone helped her wash off those graffiti. As Sarah watched the young girl applying her makeup, she felt reassured that human nature tends toward goodness. Someone picked up scissors and cut Sarah's clothes to shreds. Sarah witnessed it all but couldn't intervene. She consoled herself thinking people come in all types, and it was just her outer clothing being cut. Nothing too serious. After all, people wear bikinis at the beach showing far more skin. That act was like opening Pandora's box. The nightmare had begun. The person shredded her clothes to tatters, yet meticulously tucked a rose behind her ear, its thorns digging viciously into the flesh, sending trails of blood trickling down her earlobe. Sarah's eyes brimmed with tears and desperate pleading. As if admiring a perfect floral arrangement, the man's eyes sparkled with appreciation as he photographed it from every angle before pinning the pictures to the wall behind him. Before Sarah could catch her breath, the next spectator tore off her blouse, leaving her completely exposed. Yet he showed no reaction upon seeing her, his eyes gleaming with fervor. He eagerly pulled her into a kiss. A stench like fermented herring flooded Sarah's mouth, so pungent it brought tears and mucus streaming down her face. Seemingly disgusted by Sarah's runny nose, he abruptly slapped her across the face, the sharp crack echoing through the air. These atrocities not only went unchecked, but escalated with increasing intensity. Someone in the crowd suddenly shouted, "She's completely frozen. Go now." The onlookers at the back saw this and immediately sprang into action. A swarm of 7 or 8 people rushed forward. Someone was slowly cutting her skin with a knife. Someone thrust a thorny rose into her abdomen. Some kissed her scarred skin, while others drank her blood. By the time They had satisfied their desires. Sarah was covered in wounds from head to toe, her face was covered in bruises, with not a single patch of unmarked skin left on her body. Tears of despair streamed down Sarah's cheeks. She was powerless to escape. They carried Sarah into the water-filled bathtub. Blood instantly mingled with the clear water, leaving only a faint pink hue. "Are you sure this is okay? What could go wrong?" She said we could do anything to her and even sign the waiver. "We're just helping her fulfill her own wishes." "Exactly. Look, no one's stopping us, even if she dies here. It's what she was asking for. Who knows, she might have some peculiar quirks. What kind of sane person would prepare tools for their own humiliation? But what? Hurry up, I'm going to enjoy this wet and wild moment." With those final words, the man impatiently unbuckled his belt and prepared to step into the water. "Police. Hands on your head and get down. No, everyone down on the ground. Hands behind your head." Officers stormed in with guns drawn, and the people gathered by the tub instinctively scrambled to flee. 5. Overwhelmed with relief at the sound of the police, Sarah burst into tears, sobbing uncontrollably. The faint wail of an ambulance siren echoed in the distance as Sarah finally succumbed to unconsciousness. Meanwhile, hashtags like hashtag 6-hour anesthesia performance art, hashtag human nature is inherently evil, hashtag creator of reset performance art abused were trending. These topics skyrocketed to the top of the city's trending list, maintaining viral momentum for an extended period. The live stream now showed an empty room, yet the comment section continued to refresh at a frenetic pace. "Oh my god, this is absolutely insane. This streamer is really pushing it. No security at all. What if someone actually gets hurt? At least they're live streaming it. They've got some nerve testing how cruel people can be without any safety measures. This streamer is so desperate for fame. They've been reduced to a tattered rag, and they call themselves an up-and-coming artist. Is this what passes for art these days? Sorry, but this isn't my cup of tea." Watch the whole thing. The streamer sustained serious injuries, with the abdomen and lower body taking the worst hit. Let's calculate the streamer's emotional trauma area. Unbelievable. What are you all arguing about? The event was organized by the parties involved. The liability waiver was signed by the streamer themselves. Even if someone dies, those people won't be held responsible. This is a classic case of it takes two to tango. What do any of you actually understand? Didn't you see the streamer crying? They're clearly not willing to do this. Crying doesn't mean they don't want it, they might be crying from pleasure. The streamer has gone to the hospital now, waiting for updates. I second that. Countless people are discussing the impact and social significance of this performance art. Opinions are all over the map. By the time I found out, Sarah had already been rushed to emergency care. There's still no official statement or update. Meanwhile, videos of Sarah being violated and abused in the name of performance art instantly flooded major platforms. My assistant told me that after Sarah was rescued, her hospital room was swarmed with reporters, their eyes gleaming. They kept trying to push their way into the room, all desperate to get the inside scoop. I never imagined Sarah would secretly go live for more clicks, with no security on site either. It was downright reckless. The scandal remained at the top of trending searches for an extended period. Sarah's account inbox was flooded with hate mail, as vile comments swamped her posts. As soon as she regained her senses, Sarah paid to bury then scrub all related videos from the internet. This wasn't the kind of fame she had ever wanted, not like this. The doctor said she had suffered severe psychological trauma and should avoid excessive stimulation. Sarah called Bianca, and though her assistant didn't catch the conversation, Sarah handed over her phone for safekeeping right after hanging up. Meanwhile, Bianca's participation in the Paris art exhibition proved tremendously successful. Her paintings garnered admiration from numerous esteemed experts. Former martial arts sisters are now being pitted against each other. Sarah is trending again on social media, this time Sarah's entire history is being compared with Bianca's. Amid the online controversy, Sarah is holed up in the hospital like a coward. While walking with the doctor to her examination, Sarah overheard someone saying from a distance, "Oh, that's her. Her seniors' paintings are absolutely stunning. I heard they even won an award. I just don't get why she's doing this performance art, making herself look like that. Isn't it human nature to be inherently flawed? Her senior is so much more accomplished. Rumor has it her artworks sell for over 100 million. Oh right, that illusion piece priced at 76,580,000, isn't it?" As she passed the nurse's station, Sarah's gaze accidentally fell on the lit screen of someone's phone. In the video, Bianca was being interviewed by a reporter, with an entire wall covered in paintings of wildly different styles behind her. She stared at Bianca and those paintings, completely frozen in place. Weren't those paintings destroyed in the fire? How on earth did they end up with Bianca? 6. Sarah snatched the phone, frantically fast Forwarding through the entire video, she even scrolled through the comments section, only to realize with horror that she had become Bianca's stepping stone. "Hey, why are you grabbing my phone, you crazy woman? Give it back. If you break it, you're paying for it." Sarah was shoved aside by that person, and the whole scene unfolded in just 2 or 3 seconds. Before the doctor could even react, Sarah stumbled toward the ward, dragging her still unhealed body, leaving the doctor utterly bewildered and shouting, "Hey, you haven't done the checkup yet. What are you running for? What a lunatic. Who is this person? Some kind of gloomy creep." Back in the hospital room, Sarah rummaged through her assistant's bag and retrieved her own phone. She called Bianca over and over, but was always met with, "The number you have dialed is currently unavailable. Please try your call again later." Sarah let out a furious scream and swept every item in the room onto the floor in a fit of rage. The doctors and nurses outside were too scared to come in. "My assistant called me in a panic, her voice trembling. Vivian, what do we do? Sarah's gone berserk. She's been frantically calling Miss Bianca and just trashed the hospital room. She's completely lost it." Before she could finish, Sarah snatched the phone from my assistant and dialed Bianca. The call connected instantly, and Sarah roared, "Bianca, you've betrayed me. I painted all those works. How dare you steal my creations? Was it you who set the fire?" A startled cry came through the phone. "What are you talking about, Junior? How could this painting possibly be yours? We were both at the fire scene. I nearly died. Why would I risk my life like that? You must have misunderstood." Misunderstood. That painting was meant for the Paris exhibition. Only Vivian and I had seen it." Sarah suddenly paused, her tone turning somber. "Senior, tell me the truth. Where did the painting really come from? You wouldn't want us fellow disciples to meet at the police station, would you?" Bianca paused for a moment and said, "Junior sister, I think this is a conspiracy. It must be Vivian's doing. She wants to see us suspect each other." Before Bianca could finish shifting the blame, Sarah suddenly asked again, "Bianca, I'm asking you one more time, you didn't steal the painting, did you?" A chuckle came through the phone as she explained, "Of course not. How could I possibly do something so despicable? We're practically sisters in this field. Where are you right now? I'm coming to see you." The assistant rushed Sarah all the way to Bianca's interview location. With her earphones on, she kept replaying those recordings, heading straight to Bianca's dressing room the moment she stepped out of the car. When Sarah arrived, Bianca was meticulously applying her eyeliner. "Oh, you're here. Perfect timing. I think there's something fishy about this whole situation." "Bad timing though. I've got to run to an interview." "Wait for me, will you?" As she made for the door, Sarah blocked her path, refusing to let her leave. "We need to settle this." "Bianca, what are you talking about? You always say the most incomprehensible things." A sharp crack cut off Bianca's words as Sarah slapped her across the face. With red-rimmed eyes, Sarah roared, "You're the one who set the warehouse on fire, and you're the one who smuggled out the paintings. Why would you do this? I treated you like my own sister, and this is how you betray me. Are you even human?" Bianca remained in the position she'd been struck, her hair covering her face as she slowly turned to look at Sarah, who was red-faced and fuming with rage. Completely ignoring her burning cheek, she raised an eyebrow with a hint of smugness and said, "You have no proof, Sarah. You insulted me, slapped me without any justification. I could sue you for defamation and assault. Besides, do you even have any evidence?" Evidence? Of course I have it, Bianca. I've doubted everyone, but I never once questioned you." Sarah played the recording, and Bianca's soft, gentle voice filled the room, revealing her scheme. Bianca hadn't expected her to actually have it. Her fingers paused briefly before she let out a cold snort, her tone turning hostile. Sarah, you think you can pin this on me with some questionable audio? Who do you think you're fooling? If you're going to play that game, I could fabricate a dozen of those myself." "Oh really? The surveillance footage from the factory fire clearly shows your face. We can submit this to the police forensics unit to verify its authenticity. Have you run out of talent, Bianca? Now you're reduced to stealing others' paintings for recognition. You're no better than a sewer rat," Sarah said with biting sarcasm, tearing away Bianca's last shred of dignity. Bianca's face turned cold as she dropped all pretense. She lunged forward, snatched Sarah's phone, wiped it completely, and tossed it into a water glass, all in under 3 seconds. After disposing of the evidence, Bianca said smugly, "So sorry about that. My hand slipped. When the show's over, I'll have my assistant send you a replacement. Nothing you say matters now. I'm the acclaimed artistic genius, while you're just a second-rate artist who puts on tacky, uninspired performance art shows." She leaned closer to Sarah and whispered, "Being forced must have been awful, wasn't it? There were security guards, but not a single one stepped in when your life was in danger. Care to guess Where they all disappeared to? What are the odds that so many creeps would show up at once? The play of light and shadow split Bianca down the middle, making her appear half angel, half devil as she whispered, "If you hadn't started that live stream, you'd be dead in that human nature test." Oh right, they called it zero reset. Guess greed can actually save your life sometimes. Sarah angrily grabbed Bianca by the collar and slammed her against the dressing room mirror. "You did all this, why?" "I've never done anything to you." Bianca stared at Sarah's contorted face. "Why, maybe because you rubbed me the wrong way. How come everything just falls into your lap? Connections, opportunities, and you don't even appreciate it? How? I've worked my ass off for scraps compared to what casually slips through your fingers, and yet, you have no idea how to cherish it, recklessly squandering what I've always dreamed of having. Flashing it in my face every day, someone else paving the way for you. Bearing the hardships, while you just coast along in peaceful comfort, but even so, you're still not satisfied. Luckily, you're such a fool, you believe every word I say, driving Vivian away, blinding yourself, cutting off your own support. I can't believe how naive you are, Sarah. Performance art, huh? Did you really think that inspiration came to you out of thin air?" Bianca grabbed Sarah's wrist. "You thought the idea of being under anesthesia for 6 hours as performance art was your own. I just gave you a little nudge in the right direction, that's all. Don't flatter yourself thinking you're some kind of chosen one. The only thing of any value about you is your artwork." 7. Sarah's face turned deathly pale. "I'm giving you one chance to return what belongs to me, or you'll face the consequences." Yours? Who can prove it's yours? Your so-called evidence is gone, Sarah, after all you've been through. How can you still be this foolish? Get out of my way, you idiot." Bianca shoved Sarah aside and strode confidently toward the press interview. Sarah turned to her assistant and asked, "Is everything taken care of?" Bianca sat on the sofa while rows of journalists waited below to ask questions. "I was talking with the host about my junior sister when the screen behind me suddenly lit up, set the fire on Saturday night, and used the chaos to move all those paintings out. With Sarah's paintings destroyed, she won't miss the performance art show the next day. Make sure to pull the security, lure in some people with particular tastes. If things get out of hand, even better." She signed the waiver. "Finally, have some guys block the entrance and clear the place when the time's right. Ruin her." "Yes, that's exactly the plan, to ruin her. What a fool. All these paintings are mine now." Several audio clips played in succession, and some recognized the voice as Bianca's. Immediately after, her conversation with Sarah in the lounge was also played. Bianca's face went pale as she fumbled for her recorder, shouting urgently, "Turn it off now. Where's the director? Somebody get the director." When no one responded, she grabbed her gown and hurried toward the control room, only to be swarmed by reporters before she could reach the door. They bombarded her with questions, leaving Bianca flustered and sweating, desperate to get away. But the reporters clung to her like hyenas on the hunt, refusing to let up. That afternoon, Bianca's disheveled and appearance once again became a trending topic. Meanwhile, audio evidence of Bianca's scheming went viral online. Despite her attempts to suppress it was completely futile. The buzz just kept growing. The online backlash was intense. "Well, look who's had a change of heart. I knew there was more to it back when we did that humanity test. Don't judge until you know the whole story." That saying just keeps proving its worth. How could anyone be so vicious, destroying someone's life with such cruelty just for their own selfish desires? "I was the one who gave Sarah that recording, worried that Bianca might try to frame me again. I had people stationed nearby and even installed multiple listening devices. Fortunately, everything unfolded exactly as I had anticipated." 8. After I left Sarah and went home, I heard about what happened between Sarah and Bianca from the junior assistant. Bianca became a public enemy that everyone wanted to condemn. Her honors were revoked, and since her crimes weren't particularly severe, she was only sentenced to a few years. Unwilling to accept her fate, she escaped later. Someone who followed the case claimed to have seen her by the river. Others reported spotting her on the highway, dressed in tattered clothes. Unable to come to terms with her violated self, Sarah developed severe depression and withdrew from the art scene. All staff were dismissed, and she vanished without a trace. Some say Sarah went to seek revenge on Bianca. After all, Bianca never faced the consequences she deserved. Others claim both women had already killed each other. The rumors are flying, but the internet has the memory of a goldfish, and the hype fades fast. The evening of February 29, 2026, a large truck sped by. Squelch, squelch. The vehicle shuddered with an impact. The truck driver didn't pay it much mind. On the highway, small animals darting across the road were common, and he'd grown accustomed to it. If they got hit, it was just their tough luck. By the next day, all that remained on the pavement was a dark crimson smear of mangled flesh. Story 2. I was the orphan child of the celestial realm's war god, taken in by the heavenly emperor's mercy and raised under the care of his consort. There, I grew up alongside the emperor's 2 sons, our childhood woven together like bamboo shoots after rain. They showered me with affection and protected me with utmost devotion. When I came of age, I intended to repay their kindness by choosing one of them to pledge my life to in marriage, yet unexpectedly, after their mortal realm trials, they returned with another woman. From that moment, their attitude toward me completely changed. They not only smashed my ancient jade with their own hands, but also burned the silk handkerchief I'd gifted them. That mortal woman even shattered the rainbow glass vessel they'd given me, right before my eyes. Instead of reprimanding her, they fretted over whether the broken shards might cut her. The next day, I knelt before the celestial consort and begged her to arrange a marriage for me, pointing at the water god's portrait. I pleaded, "Your Grace, let me wed him." 3 days later, I accepted the betrothal gift sent by the water god. Seeing I'd come to my senses, Consort Lumi took my hand and gave it a reassuring pat. "Nara, I'm glad you've come around. We never expected repayment from you, so don't trouble yourself over Kale and Kairos." Now they're both chasing after that mortal woman, terrified of failing to win her favor, though I dislike seeing them grovel before a human. If that's their choice, who am I to stand in the way of fate? Don't worry about the sea god. Though he dwells in the ocean depths, he's truly kind-hearted. When he heard you sought a match, he personally came to ask for my mediation. He'll treat you well after your union. I silently poured tea, listening obediently to Consort Lumi's nagging. I knew she'd always despised my orphan status despite raising me, so when I stopped pursuing her sons and married elsewhere, she was delighted. Little did she no, my heart had turned to ashes when that mortal woman shattered the ancient jade they'd gifted me. Presenting the brewed tea, I excused myself and withdrew back in my cave dwelling. My eyes stung as I gazed at the shattered jade pieces on the table. This was my mother's legacy, an ancient jade treasure that had fallen into demon hands, until Kale retrieved it for me. To show my gratitude, I embroidered a silk handkerchief with enchanted threads and gifted it to him. I cast restoration spells upon the jade, but to no avail. I'll have nothing left to remember mother by, just like the bond we'd shared since childhood, gone forever. Nara, when I return from my mortal trials, I'll petition the imperial consort to decree our union. You shall be my crown princess. By then, Kale was already the celestial crown prince, yet his consort remained unchosen. Then came Kairos, echoing Kale's words, asking me to wait for his return from the trials. Their trials lasted a full century. I still couldn't choose between the two of them. I promised them an answer upon their return. Back then, they even came to blows over me, brothers fighting each other, all this passion, yet no glimpse of warmth. Perhaps it was mistaken from the start. Their desire to wed me was never about affection. Like me, a sardonic smile crossed my face as I picked up the shattered jade, only for blood to drip onto the ground. It didn't seem to hurt, yet tears kept streaming down uncontrollably. "Nara, what's wrong with you?" I looked up at the sound to find Kale standing behind me, having appeared without notice. Syra lost both parents, and I pity her. She's also grown fond of me. I'll make her my crown princess in time, while Kairos weds you. Does that suit you? I watched him spin his honeyed words. He wouldn't marry me himself, yet pawned me off to his brother. Kairos suddenly appeared beside him with a dark expression. "I also wish to marry Syra. You're the one who should wed Nara." She never specified which of us she prefers. The 2 brothers were in my cave, quarreling fiercely over another woman. They completely forgot I was still here. I let out a hollow laugh, turned to grab a handkerchief from the table, and wiped the blood from my hands. Glancing out the window, I saw 2 orioles perched on the treetop. As I looked down, my eyes suddenly fell upon an origami crane and a flute resting on the small shelf. That was the love token they gave me before leaving for their trials. The paper had yellowed with age, and dust finally settled on the flute. I grabbed both items and hurled them at the 2 figures behind me. "Get out," I shouted. The brothers fell into stunned silence, staring blankly at the 2 objects on the ground. What's the meaning of this? Too furious to even retrieve their discarded belongings, they simply turned and stormed off. I carefully picked up the crumpled paper crane and broken jade flute from the ground before walking away. I halted abruptly before a spirit well and hurled both items into its depths. This well was dug by our youthful hands in brighter days. Noticing my tea rituals, the brothers fetched celestial dew from the emperor's blessed pool and anointed this well with a single drop. "Nara, does this enchanted water please your heart?" My face lit up with joy. How wonderful! As an orphan, their companionship made me feel no longer alone. Little did they know, I didn't actually enjoy drinking tea. I simply brewed tea for them whenever they visited. That way, they'll stay a little longer. A fairy maiden suddenly spoke behind me. "What is Princess Nara doing here?" The 2 lords said they're moving the spirit well to Lady Syra's courtyard. Lady Syra has never tasted this enchanted water before. The lords insisted she should try it. I froze on the spot. So they weren't here for me after all. They came to relocate the spirit well. Who'd have thought they'd reclaim those old relics just for Syra? All because she casually mentioned never tasting it. Echoes rose from the well's depths, as if mourning my sorrow. I shook my head with a quiet chuckle. The spiritual well means nothing to them. Why should I care? It's time to leave them behind. I rose from the well's edge, ignoring the fairy maiden. The next day, celestial consort Lumi delivered divine maiden Broom's floral banquet invitation, summoning me to the bloom gathering. Lady Broom is your majesty's aunt who has always doted on you two brothers most dearly. When she learned of your return from the trials, she specifically insisted you must attend. Consort Lumi's constitution is frail. Every childbirth leaves her severely drained of vital energy, so initially the children were entrusted to Lady Broom's care, and during that period, I too remained by her side. Upon hearing of their return from the trials, she immediately hosted this floral banquet to cleanse their travels. Little did she know, my relationship with the brothers wasn't what it used to be. She tugged at my sleeve and said, "You promised me that 100 flowers dance last time, why wait for someday when today's perfect? Let's have Kale Karos accompany you, shall we?" Kale used to play my gifted flute for such occasions, though it had been ages since I last danced. I was about to decline when, to my surprise, Kale agreed before I could speak. "Since childhood, we've spent most of our time following the goddess Broom. This dance must indeed be performed." He reached out to me. I understood his silent request for the flute. "The flute is lost, Your Highness. You'll need to find another instrument." Syra suddenly stepped forward and interjected, "Why don't I perform this dance instead? I won't even need musical accompaniment. What do you think, Lady Broom?" Hearing this, Lady Broom slightly furrowed her brows and ignored her. To everyone's surprise, Consort Lumi, who had just arrived, also said to me, "Dance for us, today might be our last chance. Consider it a keepsake for Broom." The ornate words of Consort Lumi carried hidden implications, which didn't escape many listeners' notice. I saw Kale gently take Syra's hand to comfort her. I could only stand at the center of the stage, watching Kale pull out his flute, an instrument he'd never quite mastered. The long unseen scene stirred memories in many, dancing gracefully, just like in the old days. Alas, those bygone days can never return. My heart ached with bitterness, yet I refused to show it before the crowd. Blood began seeping from my palm again, mingling the floral scent in the air with a metallic tang of blood. To my surprise, Syra pinched her nose in disgust, sneering, "What's the meaning of this, Princess Nara? Did you really think this stench would win their highnesses' pity?" Karos' movement to stop me froze mid-action. His lips parted, but no words came out. Kale said, "Aunt, the dance is over. Let's admire the flowers now." Kale walked over to Syra and led her away by the hand. I let out a soft chuckle, my hand hanging limply at my side as blood dripped onto the ground. Crimson petals scattered across the floor like fallen plum blossoms, yet I felt no pain. The goddess Broom's gaze drifted between us, as if she could see right through our souls. Syra wrenched her hand from Kale's grasp, insisting on performing a dance for the celestial assembly. As the dance concluded, she declared, "I may be mortal, but I'll never yield the one I love, not even to a celestial princess." Her voice grew fiercer despite Kale's protests before she stormed off without another glance. Both Kale and Karos gave chase in quick succession. Such insolence from a mere mortal. "She's ruined our flower viewing entirely." Goddess Lumi flicked her sleeve with undisguised contempt for Syra in her eyes. Divine Maiden Broom furrowed her brow. Realizing Syra was the root of our discord, she produced a mystic salve from her robe and applied it to my wounded palm. When our sibling feud came up, I glossed over the details, merely calling it a quarrel. I smiled faintly. "Aunt Broom, I'm getting married soon. I'm afraid I won't have many chances to keep you company after this." 6 days later, the celestial weavers delivered my completed wedding gown. "Princess Nara, come look. The embroidery on this bridal dress is absolutely exquisite." I gave it a cursory glance, barely paying attention. Just then, the voice of an immortal attendant echoed outside. Karos had arrived. He said, "Nara, Syra adores the celestial incense you crafted. Teach her your art." Behind him stood Syra, radiating haughty arrogance. My expression darkened. "Why should I teach her, sister? Please don't be like this. I truly adore the celestial incense you craft. Only by mastering this art of perfumery can I ensnare both princes in my palm, just as you do." Her eyes held nothing but contempt for me. Though she disdained such tactics, she still sent Karos to seek my tutelage. "Sister, why do you have a wedding gown here? Don't tell me you're still hoping His Highness the Crown Prince would marry you." "Sister, are you trying to force a marriage proposal?" She picked up the wedding gown and showed it to Karos. Seeing this, Karos instantly flew into a rage. He took the wedding dress and stepped closer, demanding, "What's the meaning of this?" Just as Syra claimed, "Who are you forcing into marriage?" "My brother." I met his gaze coolly before letting out a sudden chuckle. When I reached to reclaim the dress, Karos stubbornly held on tight. "Marry me, Nara. Forget about your brother. Think of me instead." He pulled me into an embrace right then and there. Paying no mind to Syra's presence, then with a burst of pyromancy, he reduced the wedding gown to ashes. I froze in shock, my mind in complete turmoil. Cairo's heart was pounding so hard I could feel it through the distance, startling me completely. I struggled to push him away, undeterred. He tried embracing me again, but I shoved him back with such force that he stumbled and fell. To my surprise, this normally unshakable man had reddened eyes, as if on the verge of tears. Are you truly going to marry my brother? Why do you never take me seriously? You only have eyes for him. I thought pretending to care for Syra would make you notice me. How did it come to this? Syra shook her head in disbelief. She never imagined this outcome, that Kairos had only been kind to her as a ploy to capture my attention. When she was first brought to the celestial realm under the brothers' care, she dismissed their words as mere jest. Little did she know they'd truly used her as a pawn to vie for my gaze. Yet it never crossed their minds that I might marry someone other than either of them. I took a deep breath. Your Highness, I never promised to wed either of you. While gratitude once made me consider it, the choice was always yours to make. Since neither desires it, I shall not impose. Even given the choice, you wouldn't be mine. With a faint chuckle, I turned to instruct the celestial attendants to sweep away the wedding gown's ashes. Kairos' eyes darkened at my words. He shoved me away roughly and turned to leave. Just then, Kale walked in from outside. As he passed by Kairos, he heard him mutter, "Brother, take good care of her." Kale instantly understood the implication, his face lighting up with joy as he mistakenly believed I'd chosen him. "Nara, wait for me. I'll go ask His Majesty to grant our marriage soon. When I first proposed this, Kairos said it wouldn't work. Who knew it'd actually make you choose?" He paused before adding, "We owe this to Syra. She was the one who supported my plan from the beginning. You have no idea how terrified I was that you'd pick Kairos instead." I couldn't help but laugh out loud, mistaking my amusement for affection. Kale reached up to grab my hand, taking a step back. I pivoted gracefully and settled into the chair. "Your Highness should mind his propriety. I'm already betrothed to the water deity of Qinghai. Cease this nonsense at once." Kale's smile froze instantly as Kairos, who had just left, suddenly reappeared. He grabbed me and said, "Nara, why lie to us? If you were truly betrothed, Mother would have told us." Coming to his senses, Kale added, "Exactly, even if you dislike us being kind to Syra, that's no excuse for deception. I'm telling the truth." I poured myself a cup of tea, took a leisurely sip, then said casually, "Just 9 days ago I accepted the water god's betrothal gifts, arranged personally by Consort Lumi herself. If you don't believe me, you're welcome to inquire with her." Kale's face darkened instantly as he dispatched his trusted aide to verify the matter with Consort Lumi. He took the seat opposite me while Kairos stood nearby, visibly fuming. My entire matrimonial affair was orchestrated by Consort Lumi alone. The truth can be verified with a simple inquiry. The confidant returned carrying a set of ceremonial headpieces, claiming they were betrothal gifts from Consort Lumi. Did Her Highness truly say so? After the confidant delivered the head ornaments, Consort Lumi herself arrived shortly after, spotting them. She immediately demanded, "What are you two brothers doing here?" "Mother, Nara says she's getting married. Is this true or just a joke?" Consort Lumi glanced at me and chuckled. "She's obviously pulling your leg. How could you take it seriously?" A chill ran down my spine like I'd been doused with ice water. The brothers completely disregarded their informant's message and snapped at me coldly. "Nara, you actually lied to us. Never thought you'd be this kind of person. We clearly misjudged you." The two brothers stormed out of my cave in succession, utterly furious. I never expected Consort Lumi to say such things. She reassured me, "Don't worry. I understand you prefer discretion. I'll keep this from those brothers. Your wedding to the water god is in 3 days. Don't let them spoil this joyous occasion." After some deliberation, I ultimately remained silent. The bridal gown the weaver girl embroidered for me had been burned, leaving me in quite a predicament. In the end, I resolved to craft a new gown using my finest needlework skills. Had I not inherited my mother's embroidery techniques since childhood, I might have had to make do with ordinary attire as wedding garments this time. The mere thought of my mother makes my heart ache. "Nara, you're to wed the water god tomorrow. Shall I forbid that mortal from attending, lest she causes trouble?" "No need, Your Highness. Let all attend my wedding tomorrow. Consider it sharing in our joy." "Nara, your thoughtfulness leaves me speechless, but perhaps it's better to dismiss them tomorrow." From that day onward, the brothers treated me with noticeable aloofness, which Celestial Consort Lumi was well aware of. I simply told her to make the arrangements. That night, Celestial Consort Lumi decided to personally craft a bridal headdress set for me, specifically sending the brothers to gather materials from various places. They took Syra with them wherever they went, and this time was no exception when they learned the headpiece was for me. They assumed it was for my wedding to them and took Syra to source the finest materials. They trusted consort Lumi's words, convinced I could never marry the water god. After gathering all the materials, they didn't even bother to visit me when I boarded the water god's bridal sedan in my hand-sewn wedding gown. The brothers remained oblivious. They were busy chasing rainbow clouds with Syra at the celestial border. Their misunderstanding led me to simplify all arrangements. Only my closest friends attended my bridal procession that day. I came to know them alone, and alone I shall depart. These dear friends were also quite close with the two brothers. They've told the brothers I'm getting married, yet they still wouldn't believe it. Through the sheer red bridal veil, I saw the water god approaching me slowly. When he stopped before me, I caught an unfathomable tenderness in his eyes. His pale lips parted slightly. Nara, do you still remember me? I searched my mind, but found no memory of him whatsoever, yet some instinct told me we'd met before. With his steadying hand, I stepped gracefully into the bridal sedan. A familiar fragrance drifted to my senses. This fragrance, the art of crafting celestial incense, I've only taught one person. Without thinking, I whispered, "Your little Jiao dragon, aren't you?" The water god noticed my gaze and turned to look at me. He seemed not to hear my words. "What troubles you, my lady? Are you feeling unwell?" Waving the incense in the palanquin, I suddenly realized I didn't know his name. "Pray tell, my lord, how should I address you?" As if reading my thoughts, he smiled knowingly. "Turin." My heart skipped a beat. Yes, Turin, that was it. Gazing into his eyes, I saw traces of the youth who once made me laugh 5 while playing hide-and-seek with my two brothers. I couldn't find them, but instead discovered a young water dragon floating barely alive in the celestial pool, its scales cruelly torn away. Should the Heavenly Emperor learn his sacred pool has been defiled, this poor creature would face eternal damnation. I devised every means to rescue him, applying the finest spiritual remedies to his wounds. Then I brought him back to my mountain abode, nursing him daily with divine elixirs. "Little dragon, are you feeling better?" He opened his eyes with difficulty, trying to move but cried out in pain, leaving me no choice but to cradle him in my arms. Seeing him like this, I steeled my heart and plunged a dagger into my own chest. As the orphan child of the god of war, my heart's blood can heal all wounds. The little dragon regained some vitality as the blood touched its lips, with new scales beginning to emerge, yet it paid me little heed, only sniffing at the celestial spices I'd set aside. So I began crafting the divine incense before it, making no attempt to conceal the intricate process. But during one such session, I unexpectedly caught a glimpse of profound sorrow in its eyes. A dragon without scales is like a general stripped of his armor on the battlefield, utterly defenseless. I understood his unease. When his scales began regrowing, I sprinkled celestial incense over him. The divine fragrance soothed both mind and body, aiding his recovery, yet the little dragon kept sneezing incessantly, even as I cradled him in my arms. "Do you think I look ugly like this too?" He broke free from my embrace and darted into the pool. The room still carried the lingering scent of his celestial perfume. I never expected him to still remember me, let alone want to marry me, but saving him back then wasn't for any of this. My mind was in such turmoil that I didn't know what to do, and before I knew it, we'd reached the water god's palace. In a daze, I recalled that time we lay together basking in the warm sunlight. I was helped into the bridal chamber while Turin went to attend the guests today. I never expected to meet the boy from my childhood again. It felt like walking through a dream. Late that night, Turin stumbled into the bridal chamber reeking of alcohol. He lifted my red veil and tilted my chin up. "Nara, do you recognize the celestial incense burning in this room? I remember when you first sprinkled this incense on me, saying it would make me more alluring, but I'm a man, I don't need these things." He suddenly swept me off my feet and carried me toward the bed. "Turin, Nara, we're husband and wife now. This is only natural between us." His breath tickled my neck as he nuzzled against me. That night, Turin and I became intimate, in bed. Turin shed all pretense of being a gentleman, lost in passion. Fragments of memories with Turin surfaced. "Perhaps this is what I owe him," I murmured. Turin, I was wrong to treat you like a woman. I was tormented all night, drifting in and out of consciousness. I woke the next morning and reached out, only to find the other side of the bed cold and empty. Seems he's still angry with me. I demand to see Nara. Summon her at once. How dare she marry without consulting us? A maid entered and announced the arrival of the celestial prince and the second prince. Where Kale goes, Kairos inevitably follows. I continued my leisurely grooming without haste. Now that I'm wed to the water deity, it's improper to meet them privately. I sent word to the water deity, but instead of inviting them in, I rose to meet them outside the cavern abode. If they don't believe I'd marry the water god, let them see it with their own eyes. But with today's commotion, they never considered how this would leave me. They claimed to adore me, yet never once thought about my feelings. When we arrived, I glanced around and turned to find, to my surprise, Turin was there too. I was at a complete loss for words. Just then, my brothers moved to strike at Turin. With a swift motion, he shielded me in his arms. Nara is my lawfully wedded wife through proper matrimonial rights, he declared. How dare you behave like this? Have you no respect for your station? That's a damned lie. Nara loves us. She'd never marry you. You must have bewitched her to make her agree to marry you, a mere water demon like you. How could she ever love you? Kairos chimed in, shouting at Turin, release Nara this instant. With a swift rotation of his hand, he struck Turin with an open palm. I chose to be betrothed to the water god of my own will. Had I ever entertained the thought of wedding either of you, that notion shattered the moment you destroyed my mother's jade legacy. Your highnesses knew full well that ancient jade was my sole inheritance from mother, yet you let Syra dash it to pieces. 6. Kairos' voice wavered. He stumbled toward me, only to be blocked by Turin. Nara, we were just afraid you might dislike us. We know how heartbroken you were when that ancient jade shattered. That's why we punished Syra. We'll restore the jade artifact. Please stop sulking and come home with us. Had Auntie not slipped the truth during last night's conversation, we wouldn't even know you'd gotten married. We've already banished Syra back to the mortal realm. You'll never see her again. Please forgive us, Kale pleaded. We truly know we were wrong. Nara, please come back with us. This isn't where you belong. The man who was always the picture of composure now wore sheer panic on his face, his gaze desperately clinging to me. Kairos clenched his fists, then suddenly slammed them against the ground. After a long silence, he finally spoke. Nara, if you wish to marry my brother, this prince, no, I will grant your wish. You'd become my sister-in-law. Just return to the celestial realm with us, and I'll promise you anything. His every word seemed to come straight from the heart, his eyes reddening with emotion. But I've already wed the water god, and last night we consummated the marriage. This isn't something that can be settled with just a few words from him. This matter simply cannot be changed now. After all your years of worldly experience, have you ever seen a married couple living apart? You know perfectly well there's no room for negotiation on this matter. Turin pulled me possessively into his arms, clasping and kneading my hand as if staking his claim. A sudden wave of warm fragrance washed over me, flooding my heart with comfort and melting away my discontent. This Turin not only mastered my craft, but took the art of immortal incense-making to new heights, from external to internal. Right before the two brothers' eyes, he swept me up in his arms. As he turned to leave, he told them, since my wife acknowledges you as her brothers, you're naturally my brothers too. I must ask your highnesses to mind your propriety. My wife retired late last night and must be quite weary now. Unless it's urgent, you should take your leave. He simply scooped me up and walked away without another word. The two brothers remained standing there, watching intently. Kale refused to relent, kneeling on the ground as he cried out, Nara, we'll be waiting for your return. Kairos finally understood. There was no going back. I had truly left them behind. I married the water god. Syra was banished to the mortal realm, and the two celestial princes were utterly devastated. Anyone with eyes could see the machinations behind it all. In the end, these events drove a wedge between me and the two princes. After the brothers departed the water god's palace, Turin carried me back to the bedchamber. The moment I was laid down, he pinned me beneath him, nibbling at my earlobe. Only when I pushed him away did he murmur, my lady, are you still hung up on them? I knew what troubled him and gave a faint smile. To my surprise, he took that smile as silent confirmation. He fumed, even if you still think of them, I won't let you go. Now that we're wed, nothing shall tear us apart. I ignored his words, laughing even more brightly. After how he'd exhausted me last night, he deserved to stew in his anger a while. After a long pause, I leaned in to catch his scent and remarked, you truly adore crafting celestial perfumes, don't you? He immediately laid out the celestial incense he'd developed right before my eyes for inspection. He rubbed his nose and muttered, not really my thing. If it weren't for that time I saw you. I noticed his ears turning slightly pink. He was actually blushing, not catching his last words. I asked, then why did you study it so thoroughly? Didn't you love concocting celestial fragrances? I remember you used to fiddle with them daily in front of me, sprinkling the stuff all over my clothes. I chuckled softly, suddenly finding it in my heart to forgive last night's madness. Perhaps his devotion runs so deep, he'd rather merge me into his very being. I took his hand and played with it, teasing, then why did you propose to me? Because I'm in love with you. The last words nearly burst from his lips. For decades I've labored to perfect an immortal fragrance matching yours, no, surpassing it. Even if men face ridicule for wearing perfume, I'd gladly bear it all for you. Had you not thought me unworthy and doused me in celestial perfumes back then? I wouldn't have fled. Now I've mastered this craft just to please you. I proved myself before my father, surpassing all my brothers to inherit his title as water god. Only then did I dare seek your hand, to become worthy of you. Do you understand my heart now? He conjured another armful of celestial perfumes, pressing them into my arms. Wait for me. I'll create the finest fragrances for you to wear daily, until all envy the lady I've made you. He kept rambling on to himself, only to turn and find me staring at him blankly, instantly too embarrassed to meet my gaze. He dropped his eyes to the ground. I knew it. He was blushing again. No wonder you went so wild last night. This husband admits his fault. I'll be gentler next time. Don't hold it against me, my lady. I chuckled and playfully touched his flushed ears, only for him to let out a contented hum before pinning me back onto the bed. Nara, I've loved you since the day you saved me. I'll treat you right, anything you desire, I'll make it yours. I wrapped my arms around his neck, our noses brushing. 7. Even after laying things out clearly with both brothers, they still act like they've got a shot. Whenever demons cause trouble near the water god's palace, they'd use it as an excuse to visit me there. Each time Turin noticed this, he'd brush them off by claiming I wasn't available. When avoidance became impossible, he'd take me traveling through the mortal realm's mountains and rivers, the mortal world's crystal clear waters and emerald mountains rivaled even the celestial realm and water god's palace in beauty. If I hadn't stopped him in time, he would have settled down in the mortal world. This was my first time in the mortal realm. Everything looked so strange and fascinating. I'd never seen such things before, and my curiosity was overflowing. Then he took me back to the very place where he'd secluded himself in meditation years ago. After you saved me, I fled here and spent years in seclusion. I even mastered your art of crafting celestial incense. He looked at me with puppy dog eyes begging for praise, then snuggled into my arms. After spending over half a month together, I finally realized how deeply the water god Turin cherished me. Stroking his hair absent-mindedly, I suddenly said, Turin, let's take some time apart. Turin's eyes widened in shock as if hearing earth-shattering news. What did you say? Say that again. With a single touch from me, he froze in place, just as I was leaving. A precious jade slipped from his robes. It was unmistakably that ancient jade my mother had left me, but wasn't it shattered? The ancient jade looked brand new at first glance, but upon closer inspection, you could tell it was the same original piece. My eyes stunned suddenly. I halted mid-step and sank back into my seat. Did you restore this? With his pressure points sealed, he could only roll his eyes in response. I quickly released his pressure point, only to find myself pulled into his embrace. The next moment, he said, I knew this jade meant everything to you, so I poured my all into restoring it. My scales are fused within now. It won't break easily. I meant to surprise you. Never thought. Turin scratched the back of his head sheepishly, as if afraid I'd blame him. I cradled the jade in my hands, its smooth surface evoking memories of mother's warm palms enveloping mine when she was still alive. My eyes welled up with tears, momentarily forgetting Turin's anxious presence beside me. Nara, I was wrong. I won't touch your things without permission again. Coming to my senses, I wiped away my tears. Thank you, Turin. The moment I finished speaking, Turin was completely stunned. I channeled a stream of immortal energy into the ancient treasure before fastening it around Turin's waist. Turin looked bewildered. Nara, what do you mean by this? With a faint smile, I said, this was originally my mother's gift for me to give to my future husband. The summer heat lingered as cicadas buzzed incessantly outside. Turin mentioned having errands later and stepped out, so I swung on the garden swing alone, swinging back and forth. I drifted off to sleep. In my dream, a sudden chill crept up my neck, slowly turning into sharp pain. My eyes flew open to meet a grotesque face leering at me. I recoiled in terror, only to be yanked forward by an iron grip. Long fingernails dug into my throat as the metallic tang of blood filled the air. She spoke softly. Nara, what sweet dreams have you been having? The voice made me realize it was Syra, who'd been cast back to the mortal realm. She had become a demon. Syra, she lowered her gaze, then suddenly looked up at me. I thought your marriage was just a ruse to catch the prince's attention, yet here you are, truly wedded. Nara, what exactly are you scheming? If it weren't for you, His Highness wouldn't have sent me back. I was nearly crowned crown princess. This is all your fault. Marrying someone from the celestial court would have been tolerable, but you had to choose the water god, a deity exiled to the hinterlands. I'll kill you. Her nails elongated further. One forceful squeeze would pierce straight through my throat, but the next moment, she was knocked flying. Nara, are you okay? No sooner had he spoken than he noticed the red mark on my neck. That redness instantly flashed in his eyes. Lay a finger on my Nara and I'll end you. 8. In an instant, Turin transformed into a coiling dragon, circling Through the air, the once graceful and proud siren now resembled a demon, radiating sinister energy from her entire being. They came to blows almost immediately. I gathered myself and ducked behind a tree, clutching my neck. Suddenly, someone grabbed me from behind. Panicked, I struggled desperately, then Kale's voice whispered by my ear, "Nara, it's me. I've come to take you away. When we return, I'll petition the Emperor for our marriage. You shall be my crown princess." His hot breath against my ear made me nauseous. Kairos appeared before me too, spouting the same nonsense as Kale. Turin noticed what was happening and shouted at me in jealousy. Syra was beaten until she coughed up blood. Seizing the moment when Kale was distracted, I swiftly broke free from his grasp. Unexpectedly, Kairos suddenly pulled me aside. "Nara, come with me now." With a hardened heart, I struck both brothers with a palm strike each before turning to flee toward Turin. "Your Highnesses, please return. I am now wed to the water god, and henceforth belong to the water god's palace. No matter the past or present, Turin is the only one in my heart. From now on, you shall all be my sworn brothers, none other than this." Kale made as if to wrest me away from Turin again, when I was right beside them before. They turned a blind eye. "Why this sudden change now? Nara, you know you're still sulking. We're taking you back now. You'll thank us when you've cooled down." No sooner had he spoken than Kairos moved to grab me. Turin pulled me behind him protectively. To my surprise, while he was locked in combat with Kairos, Kale slipped behind me and knocked me unconscious before taking me away. Turin has recently shown signs of transforming into a golden dragon. Kairos stands no chance against him back in the celestial realm. I immediately slapped Kale across the face. "Have you no regard for the second prince's life?" I tried to leave, but Kale blocked my path, refusing to let me go. Suddenly, I heard the roar of a dragon. I swiftly pulled the celestial hairpin from my hair and pressed it against my neck. "Let me go." Though an immortal body isn't easily harmed, I was betting Kale would let me leave. In the end, my gamble paid off. As I stepped out of the bedchamber, a golden dragon blotted out the sky completely, leaving only its dazzling radiance. To my surprise, Turin ascended to golden dragonhood during his fierce battle with Kairos. Turin carried me on his back and swiftly flew us back to the water god's palace. To my surprise, Kairos actually pursued me all the way to the water god's palace. "Second prince, please let me go. Stop bothering us." As I spoke, tears streamed down my face, my heart overflowing with bitterness. I never wronged anyone. To repay kindness, I was willing to offer myself in marriage. They refused, so I kept my distance. Why must they still torment me? "Nara, don't cry, my lord." Kairos flusteredly tried to comfort me, only for Turin to casually flick his wrist and send him tumbling to the ground. Just then, Kale descended from above, helped Kairos up, then frowned slightly at me. After a long pause, he finally spoke slowly. "Kairos, go home." He practically dragged Kairos away, then condescendingly bowed in my direction. After a few steps, Kairos turned back to ask, "Nara, are you really not coming with us?" I curled my lips slightly. "Go on, I like it here. Don't worry about me. Brothers, safe travels. Nara, if you ever get tired of this place, remember to call for me." Before he could finish speaking, a dragon's tail sent him flying. Turin had silently shifted into his draconic form, tail coiled and ready to strike. After the commotion, "You okay? Piece of cake. They're no match for me, especially now that I'm a golden dragon." After 100 years, Turin and I came to the mortal world to travel again. We began to develop new immortal spices, using them ourselves and giving them to poor families in the mortal world. Immortal spices can be used for fragrance, to strengthen the body, and to cure diseases. "Why does it seem to me that you didn't learn to make immortal spices just for me?" Turin pouted pitifully. "You always loved concocting celestial fragrances right before my eyes. I did it all for your sake. Don't tell me you dislike it." I smiled without answering. Of course I loved it. Loved this Turin who painstakingly crafted divine perfumes just to please me. From that day forward, Turin and I lived in conjugal harmony, growing ever closer in mutual understanding. Story 2. Before the apocalypse approached, we moved into a spacious 200-square-meter apartment with 4 bedrooms, a living room, and a terrace. We bought the house during the pandemic, and after a fresh renovation, our family confidently stocked up on a substantial amount of supplies. However, before we could even settle in, the pandemic suddenly ended, just as we were worrying over the surplus supplies filling our home. A zombie outbreak erupted. What can we do? Who's afraid? Our supplies included everything from chicken, duck, fish, and meat to radishes, green vegetables, and cabbage. 120230909. Today we moved. The nearly 200-square-meter apartment, with its spacious living room, dining room, and bedrooms, should have been a cause for celebration. Additionally, each building in the complex came with a 20-square-meter storage room and an almost 100-square-meter large terrace at the top. However, our family was distressed by the living room piled high with various supplies we had Assumed the pandemic would continue for much longer, and the sudden end left us puzzled over how to manage the supplies we had prematurely acquired. Dad said, "We can just eat them slowly. After all, they're all non-perishable foods that won't spoil for a year or two." Mom quickly agreed, nodding, "Exactly, and if the pandemic returns, we're covered." It seems the pandemic scared my mom enough to maintain her stockpiling habits. 220230912. Today we began inventorying our supplies, a rough count shows 200 boxes, detailed as follows: frozen beef, chicken breasts, and pork, each weighing about 50 pounds, with especially a large amount of fatty pork since Dad's braised pork is a family favorite, 30 chickens and ducks each, frozen, 50 boxes of canned fruits, vegetables, and meats, with a shelf life of 3 to 5 years, 10 boxes of rice, shelf life of 3 years, 10 boxes of various flavored milk powders, shelf life of 2 years, 10 boxes of various flavored honeys, shelf life not found, but said to last over 10 years, 10 boxes of compressed biscuits, shelf life of 3 to 5 years, 5 boxes of pasta, shelf life of 3 years, 8 flavors of Korean trendy fruit drinks, 2 boxes, shelf life of 2 years, various chocolates, 5 boxes, shelf life of 1 year, 2 boxes of pork jerky, shelf life of 1 year, 2 boxes of Sichuan hot pot base, shelf life of 1 year, various flavored chips, 2 boxes. Shelf life of 1 year, various flavored instant noodles, 10 boxes, shelf life of 6 months, 2 boxes of glass noodles, shelf life of 6 months, 2 boxes of Claire's vacuum-sealed duck frames, duck necks, chicken wings, duck feet, chicken legs, etc. Shelf life of 0 to 5 years, 2 boxes of beef jerky, shelf life of 0 to 5 years, sufficient personal care items like toothpaste, shampoo, and facial cleanser for 3 years for the family. Dad also stored quite a few teas and liquors, which I meticulously recorded in my notebook. Dad's favorite Baijiu. 10 boxes, each with 10 bottles, can be kept for decades. 2 boxes of tea, shelf life of 3 years. As a family fond of stockpiling, we have plenty of other stored goods as well. 1 box of Sichuan cured meat, shelf life of 6 months. 1 box of Sichuan sausage, shelf life of 6 months. 2 boxes of bamboo shoots, shelf life of 1 year. Various nuts, 2 boxes, shelf life of 8 months. Various preserved fruits, 2 boxes, shelf life of 1 year, and numerous other miscellaneous supplies. 320230915. At 6 o'clock in the evening, the seeds Mom ordered online arrived. Both my parents love gardening, but our previous small home didn't allow for it. Now that we have a larger home, they can finally indulge in their hobby. We now have 40 different types of seeds, totaling 200 packets. Mom and Dad must be crazy about planting vegetables. Fortunately, these seeds were inexpensive and can be preserved for 5 to 6 years using a dry storage method. We carefully sealed the extra seeds and stored them in the warehouse. On September 20th, 2023, this morning, my parents and I drove to the supermarket. The supplies at home were all long-lasting, but we lacked fresh fruits and vegetables. So we planned a major shopping trip today. In the vegetable section, my mom weighed about 20 pounds of potatoes and sweet potatoes since they store well. We also got some cabbages and onions, and I picked a variety of our usual vegetables like green peppers, eggplants, cucumbers, okra, tomatoes, broccoli, and water spinach, considering they can only last a while in the fridge, so I didn't take too many. Considering that fruits spoil easily, we only grabbed a few strawberries and cherries. Even though we love them, we did get about 10 pounds of apples and grapefruits, as they keep well for several months. My mom selected 10 pounds of frozen shrimp in the seafood section and chose some osmanthus fish and yellowfin along with a few carbs to be freshly prepared by the staff. Dad carried 3 large barrels of oil back to the car. The shopping cart at my supermarket was almost 2 to 3 times the size of those at other supermarkets, and by this time, it was nearly overwhelmed. I ran to the entrance to drag another cart over and continued loading items. Passing through the pharmacy section, my mom picked up some daily vitamins B and C. "You and your father need to start taking these every day, Dad," and I exchanged a look of dismay. However, Dad was interested in a grill, suggesting we could barbecue on the terrace, which Mom initially opposed. Ultimately, we decided by majority vote, and Dad got the right to buy the grill. I also suggested getting a long-coveted oven for baking meat or making bread and cakes, which no one opposed, and I happily loaded it onto the cart. We leisurely browsed the electronics section, with Mom picking out a new rice cooker. That's when a long board caught my attention. "Dad, what's this?" "A solar panel. It absorbs solar energy and can be used for generating electricity directly." "Then let's get one. It can save a lot on electricity bills and has energy-saving benefits." "Right." A staff member came over promptly, smiling as she Explained, you can place it on the roof or the terrace. It not only absorbs solar energy but can also generate power from the wind, complementing each other, so you don't have to worry about electricity on sunny, rainy, or nighttime conditions. Plus, we're having a mid-autumn festival promotion, recommending an 8,000 W capacity, which is more than sufficient for a whole day's use for a household. This model also has a 35% discount and comes with a complete set of supports and wiring. Seeing my parents hesitate, she quickly added, this can save quite a bit of electricity daily, and it'll pay for itself in just a few years. Mom and Dad seemed tempted, and Dad remarked in a tone of civic responsibility, energy conservation and sustainable development are indeed good. However, due to the popular demand and impressive discounts on the solar panels, they were sold out today. The staff member informed us that they would restock tomorrow and would arrange for delivery to our address, which I provided. After paying, we drove home happily, singing along the way. The car packed from the trunk to the back seat. Unloading these items was joyous but physically taxing, so I borrowed a cart from the property management to transport everything in 5 trips. Once home, exhausted and hungry, we managed to organize the bags of groceries, and Mom started making chicken soup with half a chicken. Suddenly, Dad had a burst of inspiration. Why don't we raise some chickens on the terrace? I quickly agreed, recalling, I remember eating chickens and pigeons raised by Grandma when I was a kid. Home-raised always tastes better. Mom questioned, won't it smell awful? Are we even allowed to raise them here? Our terrace and living room are sealed with glass. It won't be an issue. So, we changed our plans for tomorrow to visit the market. The savory chicken soup was finally ready, served over tender noodles and sprinkled with green onions, making a delicious bowl of chicken noodle soup that we all enjoyed heartily. Today was utterly exhausting. I slept like a log. Today, our family visited the local farmer's market. As we passed a stall selling chicks, we couldn't help but fall in love with these fluffy little yellow creatures. They were just too adorable. The owner mentioned that these chicks were easy to raise, so we bought 6 and placed them in a simple cage that the owner gave us. Seeing that we were novices in raising chickens, he suggested that if we wanted to raise more, we could build a simple coop using some wooden planks, which we could easily make ourselves. Next to the shop, there was a small store selling rabbits. I quoted a line from a movie, rabbits are so cute, they would taste great as roasted or spicy diced rabbit. My mom nodded in agreement. Rabbits breed prolifically, they might even be easier to keep than chicks, so we immediately picked out 4 adorable rabbits and brought them back home along with the chicks and some fresh fruits and vegetables we bought. By then, it was already noon. It was too late to cook lunch, so I remembered there was a famous Teochew beef hot pot restaurant nearby. I confidently decided to treat everyone. At 12:05 p.m., my dad suggested, let's check out the materials for the chicken and rabbit coops at the supermarket later this afternoon since we have nothing else planned and haven't used up the shopping cart. He briefly cooked the beef until it was just tender, dipping the fresh beef in a sauce I mixed from sauté, soy sauce, and sesame oil was deliciously tempting. As I enjoyed my meal, greasy satisfaction all around, I nodded eagerly. I saw many baking tutorials on web yesterday. We need to buy some ingredients and tools. While munching on a soft-boiled radish dipped in sesame oil, soy sauce, and a mix of cilantro and minced garlic, I stuffed it into my mouth with a satisfying ah. At 2:20 p.m., feeling drowsy after the hot pot, I wandered through the supermarket. My dad really picked out some wooden boards and other materials to build the coops for the chickens and rabbits. He also replenished some items we didn't buy yesterday. Having just enjoyed the delicious hot pot, we grabbed some spices and bought several bottles of soy sauce, dark soy sauce, cooking wine, oyster sauce, sesame oil, packets of salt, and other everyday cooking essentials. We also picked up some mixed spices, pepper, sweet potato powder, star anise, and bay leaves needed for marinating and roasting meats. While browsing the dried goods section and considering their longer shelf life, my dad grabbed a few bags of dried shiitake mushrooms, red mushrooms, and dried bonito flakes. My mom weighed out some millet, soybeans, black beans, and barley, planning to make soy milk for breakfast. Cheerfully, I ran to the tools section. Following recommendations from Xiaohongshu, I picked up some tools necessary for baking bread and cakes. At 3:58 p.m., unlike yesterday, after using up the shopping cart, each of us carried only 2 bags, a relatively light load. The supermarket's parking lot was a bit of a walk from the entrance. We slowly walked to the parking lot. My dad went ahead to start the car and handed his shopping bags to me. The underground parking was a bit stuffy. I saw my dad turn on the air conditioning and roll down the windows to let out the hot air. I opened the trunk and started placing the shopping bags inside. Suddenly, my dad leaned out of the window and said, "Oh no, I forgot to exchange the parking ticket again." I lazily pulled out the receipt from my pocket and yelled back, "I'll go to the supermarket front desk to swap it. You guys get in the car and wait for me." My mom slammed the trunk shut without a backward glance and instructed, "Hurry back, your dad and I are going to sit in the car with the AC on." Holding my umbrella, I walked towards the supermarket. It was already autumn, yet it was still so hot, making my head spin. As I approached the supermarket entrance, I heard a commotion and several sharp screams. From inside, suddenly, a frantic woman burst out of the supermarket doors and bumped right into me. "Ouch," I cried out in pain, holding my head. The woman, instead of apologizing, impatiently pushed me aside and ran off. I stumbled, nearly falling to the ground. More panicked people rushed out of the supermarket, pushing past me so fiercely I could barely stand. The crowd was frantic, pushing and shoving. A few supermarket security guards wielding batons attempted to intervene but were instead knocked down by the terrified crowd, their screams echoing as they were trampled. Was there an earthquake or a terrorist attack then? I noticed a few people within a few meters ahead, their faces smeared with blood. Something wasn't right. On closer inspection, these people seemed to have human-like appearances, but, however, they didn't quite seem human. Their bodies were pale and stiff. A few years ago, I inadvertently witnessed a body after a suicide jump. Unlike normal people, their skin was ghastly pale and their joints were rigid. Now, these running people resembled corpses, their heads and limbs contorted in ways impossible for humans, moving swiftly in these unnatural poses. Suddenly, one of them clad in blue leaped with strength and speed beyond human limits, knocking down a young girl in a skirt beside me, his head buried in her neck, frantically devouring her. Blood and small chunks of flesh sprayed out quickly, and the girl let out a scream of unbearable agony. I could even feel the warm droplets of blood splatter on my face. After finishing his gruesome meal, the corpse turned its head towards me. Its eyes were pale and cloudy, staring fixedly at me, its mouth gaping open, dripping with fresh blood. What did I just see? Am I dreaming? Is this a dream, or am I watching TV? My mind suddenly crashed, blanking out, unable to comprehend the scene before me. Before my brain could process, my body had already thrown the umbrella towards the approaching corpse and swiftly squeezed through the crowd. Using my agility and slight frame to my advantage, I quickly escaped the pressing crowd and dashed towards the parking lot. Just as I was about to cross the street to the parking lot, a familiar car stopped abruptly in front of me. The window rolled down. It was my dad. Dad yelled at me, "Get in." My body reacted faster than my mind. I rapidly opened the passenger door, tumbling inside. Only then did I realize I was uncontrollably shaking, unable to utter a word. All I could think was, "Run, run, run." From the rearview mirror, I saw the girl who had just been bitten to death on the ground suddenly spring up in the same stiff, eerie manner. Dad had already successfully driven the car out of the parking spot. Fortunately, there were no cars blocking the way ahead, and he headed towards the parking lot exit. "But, please pay 10 yuan. The parking barrier blocked our way." The machine's female voice elegantly reminded, "Hurry up and pay the parking fee," Dad said. Anxiously looking around as he spoke, I quickly pulled out my phone, trembling as I tried to scan the QR code for the parking fee, but my shaking hands couldn't align with it. I saw in the rearview mirror a large corpse, face covered in blood and flesh, suddenly drop the food in its mouth. Its head stiffly turned our way and sprinted towards us with the speed of a sprinter. "Ah, your window isn't closed." Mom's scream snapped me to my senses. I hastily dropped my phone, pressing the window button next to me, only to realize I had pressed the wrong button and the window, partially open, began to roll down further. Seeing the corpse getting closer, I frantically pressed another button, and only then did the fully opened window slowly begin to close with its usual graceful speed. Meanwhile, the zombie had crossed the small path between the supermarket and the parking lot, charging towards us. 10 meters, 5 meters, 2 meters, 1 meter, 0, 5 meters, 0, 1 meters. Bang, he smashed against the window, his grotesque, bloody face pressing against the glass, a pale, cloudy eyeball fixed on me, and more zombies crowded behind, banging on the fragile window. Our car was trapped, and the loyal parking barrier remained unresponsive. Beep. Mom in the backseat scanned the QR code. The parking barrier recognized our car and slowly lifted. That minute felt like hours, and I nearly lost my life. Only then did I realize my face was covered in snot and tears. In this critical moment, it was still Dad and Mom who came through. Dad accelerated, shaking off the zombies, and we smoothly drove onto the street. Mom and Dad softly reassured me it was okay, leaving me feeling somewhat embarrassed. Facing adversity, they were much calmer than I was, understanding that keeping as calm as possible was the key to survival. Dad drove the car with focused attention, constantly vigilant of the road conditions. Looking at the bloodstains on the car window, I wiped away my tears. I had to be strong, to protect my parents. To ensure our family could safely make it home, I turned on the car's GPS and set the route home. The voice of the GPS, so familiar and comforting, said, "Ready to start. The journey is 16 kilometers and will take about 19 minutes. Can we make it home safely for 06 p.m. We are currently driving home." With the radio turned on, the radio host reported that there were violent brawls and a new virus outbreak in various parts of City X, urging everyone to stay at home, stock up on food, and wait for rescue. The car sped at 80 miles per hour, its interior silent as a tomb, while outside, it resembled a hell on earth. On the sidewalk next to us, a dozen zombies surrounded a person, relentlessly biting and tearing at them. Through the car window, we could clearly hear the zombies' growls and the desperate screams for help from the humans. I turned my head, worried about my parents seeing such a terrifying scene, and tremblingly reminded my dad, "Don't look to the side, I'll watch." "Dad, just look ahead." The traffic lights on the street were still functioning orderly, switching between red, yellow, and green lights, but the drivers had long since stopped obeying traffic rules. Panic increased the likelihood of car accidents, and overturned vehicles could be seen outside the window. A scream came from inside a car as its driver and passenger struggled in vain before being dragged out and torn apart by zombies. Meanwhile, Dad calmly maneuvered between zombies and overturned vehicles. I looked back at Mom, who from the back seat took our hands, reminding each other not to be afraid. I knew we all had only one thought: to get home, to get home. As long as we were together, everything would be all right. Suddenly, I felt calm. For 09 p.m. Dad drove seriously, while Mom and I kept watch for any sudden situations, advising him to deter or avoid obstacles when necessary. The little chicks and bunnies in the back seat were also restlessly fidgeting. For 12 p.m., things looked grim. The navigation had led us down a small road, where a bus lay across the middle of the road, completely blocking the lane. Towards the direction of the screams, a bus driver, no, a zombie driver, along with his passengers, were feasting on several pedestrians. We slowed our car, trying to pass by the bus. I saw one of the victims surrounded by zombies, his flesh so mangled that his face was almost unrecognizable, yet he was still alive, struggling amidst the zombies, his unclear yet painfully desperate cries for help reaching us as I watched his legs being devoured into a pool of blood and flesh. He weakly waved at us, attempting to drag his body, but was quickly overwhelmed by zombies. Amidst the horde, I saw his organs and flesh being ripped out. His voice gradually weakened, then there was silence. He was only 5 meters away from me, enduring a torture that made my own flesh ache as I watched. The space left by the bus on the road was too narrow for our car, and there wasn't enough room to turn around. I glanced at Dad, who looked resolute, carefully driving onto the unoccupied sidewalk. The car tilted sharply, my heart racing with fear of any malfunction. If there was an accident, I would rather die from the impact than suffer such excruciating pain. Fortunately, we managed to pass through the sidewalk safely. From the rearview mirror, I saw the zombies by the bus turn towards the sound. He stood up, twisted and pale, his eyes fixated on us as he started to chase our car at an increased pace. I clenched my fists and saw in the rearview mirror that several blood-covered zombies had jumped onto the rear of the car. Fortunately, at that moment, my dad sped up, and we managed to pass by a bus. As the car accelerated, the zombies were flung off by the force and landed on the ground, allowing me to breathe a sigh of relief. However, the scene ahead was even more perilous. The zombie invasion had caused a series of car accidents. A red SUV was hit hard by several other vehicles, becoming uncontrollably airborne and heading straight towards our car. I clenched my fists tighter, holding back a scream that was almost escaping my throat. Dad, with composure, sharply turned the steering wheel and slammed on the brakes, causing my head to knock against the front seat. I held my head and looked up. The SUV was now smashed in the exact spot where we would have been if we hadn't moved. Relieved at the close call, I was about to reflect on our luck when the zombies, attracted by the noise, surrounded the overturned SUV, turning it into a gruesome feast. Dad swerved the steering wheel again, steering clear of the zombies. We continued forward, escaping the chain of accidents, and I watched the fiery chaos through the rearview mirror. We had survived another ordeal. For 17 p.m. finally, we could see a corner of our residential complex. Just one more turn and we would be at the garage door. The car was eerily silent, a silence that was terrifying. We didn't speak, but I knew we all shared one belief: to get home. For 23 p.m., the car smoothly entered the parking lot, which was dark and unusually quiet, enveloped in a chilling atmosphere as if something horrifying and unpredictable was waiting for us. The tires slowly moved over the rubber floor of the parking lot, making a sharp, eerie screeching sound. Suddenly, a cold breeze hit me, making my hair stand on end. For 25 p.m., the parking spot was right next to our elevator. Dad parked the car steadily but didn't turn off the engine. He turned around and whispered, "Let's roll down the windows a bit to check For any unusual activity, although not many people live in this complex, it's better to be cautious. After pausing for a moment, he looked at Mom, then at me, and continued, if there's no sign of danger, I'll get up first to check around. Madison, lock the doors immediately after I get out, and keep an eye on my signals. If there's any trouble, I'll try to draw them away while you stay in the car and follow my instructions. Don't move recklessly. If I can't lead them away, Madison, you'll take over and drive. Don't get out of the car, and remember, no, let me go and check. I've trained in Taekwondo and even got 3rd place in long-distance running. I blurted out, my words tumbling out as tears threatened to fall. In times like these, you need to listen and stay calm. It's more dangerous for everyone to run out of the car, stop arguing, and just follow my instructions. Dad had never been so stern. Seeing that I still hadn't responded, he added, the occupancy rate here is low, so there's unlikely to be any trouble, but if we don't organize ourselves properly, that's when accidents happen, understand? I lowered my head and slowly nodded. Dad then laid out the plan. If everything is clear after I get out, I'll open the trunk and take out 3 bags. Mom, you handle the chickens and rabbits. Madison will handle the access card to open the door, on my signal. Both of you get out of the car at the same time, and we'll run to the electronic gate together, Dad instructed. Mom and I nodded in agreement, and she whispered, be careful. We cracked the car window slightly. From past experiences, we knew that zombies tended to emit a hissing roar continuously, but after listening quietly for a few minutes, we heard no such sounds. Dad nodded at us, quietly opened the car door, and stepped out. Watching his figure, I felt like crying again but held back the tears. Now is the time to stay calm, I reminded myself silently. Everything went very smoothly. Seeing Dad's signal, Mom and I, in perfect sync, jumped out of the car and tiptoed towards the gate. Once we all made it inside, I quickly shut the heavy door, took 2 bags from Dad, and Mom pressed the elevator button. The elevator was still at the basement level, just like when we had last used it. Entering the elevator, I recalled what the security guard had said. Our building, number 5, seemed to be occupied only by us, but just to be cautious, I stood by the elevator controls, my right hand ready on the close button, prepared for any unexpected events as I watched the elevator slowly ascend from the basement to the 1st, 2nd, 3rd floors, and up to the 25th floor. Suddenly, the elevator jolted, and my heart leapt to my throat. My mind raced with the image of a zombie with a ghastly, fanged face barging into the elevator, its gaze fixed on the closing doors. Fortunately, the elevator only paused briefly before resuming its ascent to the 30th floor. Dad signaled to us. He tiptoed out of the elevator, looked around, and then nodded to us. We then hurried to our apartment, moving at a brisk pace, perhaps due to the sweat on his hands. Dad struggled several times with the fingerprint lock before we finally heard the familiar clunk of the door unlocking, and I allowed myself a slight relief. The whole ordeal felt like it lasted an eternity. The security door swung open, we tumbled inside, and once we were all in, Dad closed the door and locked it behind us. For 36 p.m. Once home, I almost collapsed on the floor, overwhelmed by relief, holding the shopping bags. Tears and sobs mingled as we sat in silence for a moment. That was like something out of a zombie TV show, wasn't it? Mom whispered. I nodded, my voice choked with emotion. It was too dangerous. They were so close. It was really a close call. Mom and Dad were amazing. Mom hugged me. I'm just glad we're all back home now, safe together. Madison did great today, staying so calm. I burst into tears, hugging my parents and wailing, I'm sorry, I really wasn't ready. Thank you both. Dad patted my head. I'm going to make some braised pork now. I sniffed, tears rolling down again. Why make it just for us? You love it too. For 40 p.m. Mom turned on the TV. Through a gap in the curtains, I saw zombies still wandering on the street opposite. Some unsuspecting pedestrians were quickly surrounded and devoured. I quickly drew the curtains shut, wiping my tears and sniffling. I watched the news on TV. The anchor reported in a firm, professional tone that these creatures are currently referred to as zombies. They no longer possess human consciousness or characteristics and have a voracious appetite for fresh flesh. The known transmission methods are through bites and scratches. Unexpectedly, besides the supermarket we visited today, there were simultaneous outbreaks in 21 locations across the city. The subway line 5XX station is the busiest station in our city, along with other locations such as the high-speed train station, supermarkets, and pedestrian streets. Not only in our city, but zombie attacks also erupted simultaneously in other densely populated first and second-tier cities. Cities that have not yet experienced outbreaks have issued notices and are urgently implementing quarantine and inspection measures. What's more terrifying is that the army has been infiltrated by a large number of zombies at the same time, making it impossible to deploy armed forces to clear the wandering undead. Therefore, the announcer repeatedly urges citizens to stay home, lock their doors and windows, stock up on food And wait for rescue. News from other countries indicates that it's not only our nation. The zombie virus has simultaneously broken out around the world at 4 p.m. Beijing time. The host also provided information about the behavior and habits of zombies, similar to what we've seen in The Walking Dead. They mainly rely on hearing and smell since their vision is extremely poor, and they have lost human thought. Possessing a strong desire for human flesh, their strength and speed are similar to those depicted in Train to Busan. With significant capabilities in running and jumping, experts analyze that the zombie virus has an incubation period ranging from 30 seconds to 24 hours, depending on the individual's physical constitution. Currently, there is no known antidote or vaccine. Moreover, the virus seems to specifically target genetic mutations in humans. With no signs of infection in other animals, amid my fear, I felt a slight relief. Thankfully, these aren't the zombies from Resident Evil. Otherwise, only a superhuman like Alice could survive. Despite the chaos visible behind the host and the subtle fear in her eyes when she mentioned words like zombies, death, and mutation, she continued to deliver the news with utmost calm and professionalism, which was admirable. Then, the news broadcast ended. My mother looked worriedly at the groceries we bought today and said, "The food we stocked up from the supermarket might last us a little over half a year. Can things improved by then?" At 4:50 p.m., while the news was still playing on TV, I took out my phone, which was bombarded with various notifications filled with text, images, and videos. Shocking, zombies are really here. Entire city under martial law. City X issues a notice to suspend all classes and work. Investigation ongoing into the serious incident at XX subway station. It's true. Something happened in City Y. It's really fallen to zombies. Who are you kidding? I'm in City D, and everything's fine here. Those videos and images online must be from that World War Z movie, right? National security announcement. Do not go outside. End of the world. I'm trapped in an office building in XX. Someone please rescue me. City X issues a second notice for mandatory quarantine and home isolation. Wait for rescue. I can't reach my son working in City H all of a sudden. I just went outside and got bitten by a madman. What's going on? I think my roommate turned into a zombie. What should I do? Waiting online. Hey, insider news. It's a virus leaked from a biochemical experiment at XX Research Institute. My daughter works there. The end of the world is coming. Everyone should rush to the supermarkets while there's still food left. Please be cautious, everyone. I opened all the chat groups and chat boxes again. The school group has announced the suspension of classes and recommended that students stay home and isolate. In the college group, some classmates and friends shared their relief from surviving the ordeal, while others have not spoken again. A few close classmates and I reported our situations to each other. My parents also checked on relatives and friends in the Instagram group. My grandparents passed away a few years ago, while my maternal grandparents are currently with my uncle, and they are all safe at the moment. 5:30 p.m. Chick and Bunny were temporarily placed on the balcony. Chick's dinner was half a bag of grain feed, and Bunny's dinner included hay purchased from the farmer's market and a bit of carrot. We bought several large bags of hay and 2 bags of hay seeds from the rabbit owner, planning to grow them on the balcony. Watching Chick and Bunny eat with relish made my stomach growl too. 6:40 p.m. As it got darker, my mom turned on the lights. I peeked through the gaps in the curtains at the pitch dark and terrifying outside. Then back at our warm and tidy little home, feeling a wave of cozy happiness and safety, my dad prepared a feast including braised pork, stir-fried pork, steamed osmanthus fish, hollow vegetables, and Milky Way Crush and carp tofu soup, filling the table. The aroma of the food made me forget all my worries, and I sat down in a daze. Even if it's the end of the world, we must eat well, my parents said with a smile. 7:30 p.m. Although we had been scared all day, our appetites were exceptionally good. We devoured the 4 dishes and 1 soup completely. After a hearty dinner, my mom and I organized the items we had bought over the past few days. Dried goods and seasonings were placed in the kitchen cabinets. Vacuum-packed flour and rice, because the storage was full, had to be temporarily placed in the kitchen. Fresh fruits and vegetables were wrapped in plastic film and put in the fridge, which was now packed to the brim. As our family loves cooking and shopping for groceries, we bought a fridge twice the size of a regular one, and it was still packed full. We stored long shelf-life items in the warehouse and kept short shelf-life items in the dining room, guest room, and kitchen. Looking around, I saw the huge fridge filled with various foods. The top layer was packed with fruits, vegetables, and eggs wrapped in plastic film. The middle layer had all sorts of frozen food like dumplings, buns, wontons, and beef balls. The bottom layer was neatly filled with various kinds of chicken, duck, pork, whole chickens, whole ducks, whole fish, and frozen shrimp. There were also hundreds of boxes of food that couldn't fit in the warehouse or guest room, and the kitchen floor was piled with bags of sweet potatoes, cabbage, apples, pomelos, rice, flour, and noodles. My gaze finally rested on the dozens of large boxes of soil and fertilizer that had arrived a few days ago, as well as hundreds of packs of food seeds, and chick and bunny, now bustling with life in their cages. Wow, I feel incredibly secure. I jumped up and hugged my parents. It's like we've got a huge cheat code on, and it's a bit too much. 11:30 p.m. After finishing all these tasks, I squeezed into my parents' room with my blanket, lying beside my mom on the soft, dry bedding, thinking of all the horrific, bloody events of the day, accompanied by the faint roars of zombies outside the window. I thought it would be a sleepless night, but surprisingly, I slept very sweetly. 620230922 in my sleep. I was awakened by the scent of fried eggs. For a moment, I thought it was a beautiful, ordinary Saturday morning, but intermittent screams outside the window reminded me that today was no ordinary day. Hungry, I got up and saw delicious fried eggs, pan-fried buns, and soy milk on the table, with my parents cheerfully calling me to eat. I took a bite of the pan-fried bun and immediately started dancing happily. It was so fragrant, soft, and delicious. Dad had already risen early and quickly prepared the chicken and rabbit houses on the balcony. The 40-square-meter balcony, for various reasons, had been heightened by my parents, and they had enclosed the semi-open space with clear glass for safety and to ensure light could enter. Now, the chicken and rabbit houses Dad built were placed in the shaded part of the balcony,